their heritage. Now is a good time to attack and dominate them. Do you understand? Instead of we live together, instead of losing them to the Europeans, the British or the Americans, why not just dominate them?
Okay, thank
And I
you
think
so
that's what's
much.
happening.
So
Yeah, you know. And
wait,
another thing is
let me just quickly say this so that everybody can understand where you're coming from. So are you saying it's okay? Are you saying it's okay for I I don't know. Are you trying to justify what is happening? I know you are saying it's a human tendency, but are you justifying this?
no,
Is
I'm
what I'm
not.
trying to
I'm
say.
not. I'm not justifying it. You see, when we identify a problem, we need to go and find out. Okay, what's the root cause of this problem? Because when we identify a problem and we think we're looking for a solution, we might not be able to get the solution until you know what caused this problem. Then when we trace the root of that problem, then we can apply the solution and everything will be okay. Do you understand? I'm not trying to justify it. It's not right for anybody to dominate other people. Is demonic, is not good. I will never support that. But we need to stand up and we don't need to be like them. Okay, I've done something on Clubhouse. When you don't follow people's ideology or you speak contrary to the popular opinion, everybody comes to attack you and be like, no, is that our way or no way? No, we can't continue to do things like that. Now, the Fulani people that are trying to do this, there are so many ways we can stop them. We don't need to fight. We don't need to do anything. Now, imagine the way Nigeria got our independence.
Mr.
No
Bukis,
bloodshed, nothing. There was
I,
no fight.
Mr. Bukis, I'm sorry because I want us to be cutting straight to the chase. Okay, let me ask you directly. So, how do we deal with this issue? How do we deal with this issue?
We need to be united first. Now, I'm not talking about being united with the Fulani people. Every other part of Nigeria needs to come together and face this monstrous problem. But as long as we still see ourselves as, those are the Yoruba, those are the
No,
Igbo,
no,
those are the...
no, I agree with you. I agree with you. So, what is your proposition for uniting to dealing with them, and how are you proposing that we deal with them? Thank you.
Okay. When we begin to see ourselves as a stakeholder in this country called Nigeria, okay, when we begin to see that my action will go a very long way, and when you begin to treat other people the way you would like to be treated, I think that's the way we can move forward.
All right, thank you so much.
But thank you.
Can
Yeah,
I?
doctor, you will go. Let us, Bookies, please. I'm okay. I'm going to have to call other people to speak. Please, stay in the room. Don't leave. Let us. I know other people might want to engage with you. Dr. Isba would go first, and after that, my brother Abiodun would go. Dr. Isba, please.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Yoruba Nation. One thing with Nigeria is that when you support Nigeria, it makes you like, how do I put it? It makes you end up not really saying anything because there is no way. It's a place that you cannot defend. You can't defend anything called Nigeria. Now, let me tell you, Buki, the issue with Nigeria. Nigeria progress have nothing to do with morality. Because what you are trying to say now is that let us be good citizens, let us begin to love one another, all those biblical quotes. No, a nation does not thrive based on morality. A nation thrives based on structure, ideology, right? The structure I mean is that, like now, we had a show that says Nigeria Act is going with the name Federation, whereby there is nothing federal in it. Like what is practiced in the United States, every state, every state, controls their resources, controls their security, have enforcement. It is those enforcements that will guide people's character, that will make me be good. I don't need to be a good man for a country to progress. But if a country, you don't need to be a good man also. But if a country have a structure that you know that if you commit this offense, you go in for it, then you respect yourself. If a country has a good functioning constitution, then if you become a president and you do anything funny, you go in for it. So structures are meant to checkmate people, not moral, not you being good. Even if you have everybody as the as Christ, as bishop, everything, going to church and doing anything in Nigeria, it cannot fix Nigeria. So you need to take consideration on the foundation. How is Nigeria created? That country as it is alone is faulty. The way it's structured is faulty. A country that has a constitution that right for defense, right to have electricity, are all on exclusive list in your constitution. So if it is on exclusive list, and in the constitution it gives governor, it absorbs most the government people of right to giving you good road and anything. It absorbs them, and even in still the same constitution, it gives them key to the treasury. A constitution, a country that gives the president and the governor single-handed key to treasury, they can go to your central bank and get any amount of in it. And also in that constitution, it grants them immunity. So even if they take 300 billion this night, there is a part of the constitution that grants them immunity. Therefore, the constitution gives them every right to loot money, and nothing will happen. And it's those people that sees it, they go in there, they see that they are protected, that they have every freedom by that false constitution. Then how can they be good? If you know that you can commit a crime, go to the bank, rob, and get away with it, you will keep doing it. The only way you don't go to the bank, you can see money, the whole money counting in the bank, and you don't go and take it, because you know once you take it, there will be repercussion for it. So you need to understand the basic problem of the country. Apart from that, we have the ideology, clash of civilization. You cannot bring Afghanistan and France together in one country and decide, and it will function. The Taliban of Afghanistan have a different way of life. They prefer maybe mosque, they prefer their Sharia, they prefer to do things in their Islamic way. The French person wants to go to the moon, they want to invent things, they want to do technology. So if you join them together in the same space, there will be clash of civilization. As you are fighting to progress, the other one is fighting to stop you from progressing. They want a different thing. So even if you are a good person and the other person is a good person, their ideology is different. So there will continue to be fighting, there will continue to be backwardness. Please know this and know peace. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Isba. My brother Abiodun, please go ahead. Mr.
Okay,
Abiodun.
okay, Abiodun, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. And thanks again for this opportunity. Yeah, every time we talk about Nigeria, it's something we cannot finish, right? And we all know the reason, except for maybe a few people who want to just, beat about the bush about what is going on in that entity. For me, speaking to the topic, Nigeria at 61, anything to be thankful for? Yeah, I'm thankful for, the fact that a lot of people are becoming aware of the shenanigans, of the fraud, that this institution represents. So I'm going to start with where Dr. Isbas talked, you know, the issue of institution is very, very important, because it also goes deep down to the foundation of this institution called Nigeria. We know the foundation. Of course, we have to accept the fact that a lot of us were not taught history. If we look at our curriculum, we realize that history was missing. But and the reason why I mentioned that, first of all, is that a lot of us need to realize that some things has gone wrong in that country, and those things that went wrong actually were the foundation of what we are dealing with, and not the fact that there is one individual that is corrupt. We have to look at it from an institutional perspective. If we're talking about corruption or good morals or all of those things, we know that that is not really a logic that makes sense anymore in Nigeria. If we're talking about morals, I hope that our religious institutions were actually the, forgotten that big grammar, and they are the ones that actually establish what good morals are. And when we talk about churches or talk about religious institutions in the country today, can you now use that as an example to justify the logic that is about somebody's not being morally upright? We know where the immorality started. The immorality started with this whole way things were made up, and where some people were made to be less Nigerian than others. These are the immoralities. These are the immoralities that is dictating even what we experience today in that entity, where people are being killed like animals. Okay, I don't know where those other people live. I live my entire adulthood in Nigeria, and I hope some of us that are speaking and talking about this type of logic about morality knows that this morality or immorality, as we will call it, stems from the foundation of this structure itself. And I think what we should be talking about right now for every right-thinking Nigerian is about becoming more aware of this. Honestly, when I was in school, I knew everything around me doesn't make sense, but I never thought about it until I started reading the books of AWO. And when I started reading his book, even though I could not really point it out, I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong, but today I'm very, very knowledgeable. I know what this problem is. And a long time ago, and this points back to why I'm thankful for Nigeria as it's the one today. A long time ago, I knew something was wrong, and later I started getting interested in self-determination. In fact, I would say I'm one of those Yorubas out there, before the sensitization about self-determination started. I'm one of those Yoruba out there who stands out for self-determination and also the cause of Biafra, because I knew what it represents. It represents that change. It represents change. The fact that something is not working, and if we continue to do it, I can't remember what that quotation again. I think it was Albert Einstein or something. I should keep doing something and it's not working. You continue to do the same way. I expect a different result. It's madness. And this is what this is. If some people don't understand it yet, and moving forward, can Nigeria work? Well, it's a big question. It's a jam question. But what I will say here is that there are actually some evidence from our history of what worked. Okay, I wouldn't say it's Nigeria. We know something that worked. There is that history there. We had a regional government, and that's far as Nigeria worked. Okay, if everybody know that history, and this is when Awolowo was the premier of the Western region, and that is when Nigeria worked. Every other thing after that is a mess, it's a fraud, and talk about the Constitution of 1999, which further created enslavement over the fraud that already had happened. So when people are talking about corruption, when people are talking about all this individual level of or the individual level of this model of corruption, if we stay at that level, we won't really comprehend what is going on. This thing happened at a very high level, and that level I'm talking about constitutional level of corruption, and everything then thereafter there is no morality that you can claim, that you can perform, that you can practice in Nigeria that would ever work thereafter, because that is the corruption itself, the 1999 Constitution. And I know maybe some of you have heard about that. If you are here listening to my voice and you have this opinion about one Nigeria and you do not understand what is in the 1999 Constitution, I would say please go and do your homework on 1999 Constitution, and you will understand how this is not going to work. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Biodun. Somebody sent me a back channel message saying that someone is carrying AK-47 and you're trying to embrace that person because you have a better idea. That is a joke. So, really, the morality that we're talking about, and thank you for mentioning that, really, I don't think that Middle Belt and Southern people are the ones that should embrace morality. To say that those are the people that we want to tell and preach morality to is a misplaced priority. The people that we should be talking to about morality are people that are wielding AK-47, people going around and killing people. Today, just this morning, decades of people have been killed in southern Kaduna. So now to say that we are the ones that should not talk about self-determination, but we should be thinking about how to come together so that we can go and talk, not to fight them, but to go and talk to them, let them see reason, so that we can live happily ever after. No, that's not my.
Otumba, please, can you ask Buki if he understands by the reason of structure and ideology that I gave? Maybe he's not aware. Thank you.
I'm sure Buki is aware. Me and Buki, we've been friends for a while. Buki, I'm sure you're aware, right?
Yes, I'm aware, and I like what Doctor said and what Abiodun said. They talked about the Constitution, talked about the amalgamation of different ethnic groups called Nigeria, and it's still the same thing I'm saying. Now, Abiodun talked about the 1999 Constitution. If the people that drafted that Constitution are good people, do you think we will have that kind of Constitution? If we have good people at the ends of our fear in Nigeria,
Okay,
do we
Bukis, let
think
me
things
ask
will
you
be the
this.
way they are right now?
Bukis, how do we get good people into power in Nigeria?
Okay, by supporting those we believe are good people.
Who are those people?
If you look around, we will see them. You see, the thing is this, Otumba, in Nigeria, they've understand one thing. They use media to dictate or channel how people will reason. That's a given. Okay, most times people talked about Nigeria politics and tell you, oh, it's like this, as if they were there when they were having this meeting. But it's all about what we read in the news or what we hear people talk about. Do you understand? if we have good people,
Bookies, let me give,
that's how we can build
please,
strong
let
institutions.
me give you an example of what the media is telling us, okay?
Okay.
Just today, Nigerian media is telling us that House of Rep members are the ones that are funding separatist movement, that they are the ones funding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Oloye Sunday Igboho. Meanwhile, people in Nigeria, good people, people of goodwill, people of conscience, they've they stood up and they told us the people that are behind banditry, what they call banditry, but in actual sense it is terrorism, right? They didn't listen, they pretended they don't know anything. United Arab Emirates came up and still gave us their names. Do you know what Nigerian government said? We don't want to mention names, we don't want to let the people know who they are, because we don't want to shame them. We want to do our investigation. The same investigation that some people have completed, and we know what is happening. But Nigerian government, so that is what is in the media. Again, the Nigerian government. Sorry, Adela, please mute your mic, please. So the Nigerian government was able to ban Twitter. Nigerian government is telling media in Nigeria that they should not report the killings going on in Nigeria. That is what the media is telling us. It is unconventional media like the Clubhouse where we are now, where I can talk to you without being regulated by the Broadcasting Corporation of Nigeria. So this is not any organized media telling us what we should know or what we should say or think. This is me and you, brother. There is no propaganda in this. This is the reality staring us in our faces. No censorship, nothing. Raw. It doesn't get any better than this. So what is the media telling me? How is the media? The people that the media is actually manipulating today, they are the people who, one, they want to subject themselves to the manipulation of the state. Secondly, people that do not have access to new media. Those are the categories of people. But to now say that, oh, media is we all know the truth. We all know that Nigeria has never, the only time that Nigeria worked a little bit was during regional government. After that, nothing. It has been going from bad to very bad to worst to worse. So to now say, so are we saying that in all of these years, Nigeria is 61 years old today? Are we saying that we do not have credible people who have aspired to become president of Nigeria? Of course. So to now say that now let us start to look for good people. Why are we not reflecting? Let us take a step back. Let us reflect. And that is what today is about. We've had people in that country who are people of integrity, people of goodwill, people with good conscience who stood up at some point in time to say we have to make a difference. We need to go back to those people. We need to go back to people like Baba Awolowo. What did he do? Of course, he wasn't a perfect man, but he did his own bit. But instead of Awolowo to become the president, we had Shagari. We had Baba MQ Abiola, even though he wasn't the best candidate for, he's not the man with the best reputation. But he ran. He won. He got jailed for it. He went into exile for it. And eventually he got killed for it. So why do you want to not have to think about people like that? You want to start to look for good people. But we found some good people in the past. And we found some people who are not so good. How and why are we not reflecting on people like Baba Olufalaye, Iran? But the North said, no, instead of Olufalaye to become the president, we have Olusegun Obasanjo, who is our man. Whatever we tell him to do, he's going to do. Then he became the president. And in truth, everything they told this guy to do, he did for them. So we've had all of these people and many more who at some points they've done their own bit. They've contributed in various ways. There are so many more people who rose to contest to become governors of their various states, to become presidents. I remember when Baba, I remember when Femi Falana ran to become governor in Ekiti State. He can never become the governor under NCP party.
Why?
Sorry?
Why can't he become governor?
Because Nigeria is not designed for good people to govern that state. That is why. That is why. That is why Olufalaye will run for office and is not going to become the president. That is why Awolowo will run to become the president and he will never become the president. That is why Abiola will never become the president. That is why. So we need to reflect. Today is a day to reflect. Don't let us think that we know better than people of the past, because that has always been our mistake.
Otumba, let me quickly chip in something. Buhari tried to become president for like 3 times, and he couldn't achieve that thing until the South now rally around him. That's how he was able to become the president. We keep saying not. If we don't support these people, they can't do it alone. They cannot. Buhari tried, and that's a good indication. The guy tried 3 times, and he couldn't get there. But when the South now came and be like, okay, let's support this guy to get this mandate, he was able to get it on a platter of gold.
All right. No, you're right. Thank you
Otumba,
so much.
Otumba,
Okay.
before you
Please.
go, Otumba,
Otumba,
let me
please,
Yeah,
can I?
correct
please
something.
wait. Please wait. Yes.
Otumba,
So don't worry. Everybody will speak. Sorry.
this one
Thank
you
you,
just
Bukis.
said, please let me just talk about it, please. Please,
Yeah,
Otumba.
you will
Yes,
talk about it. Let's take a cue. Let's take a
yes.
cue. Bukis, again, thank you for coming to the room. Stick around. And thank you for bringing those questions and concerns. I know we have people who are very knowledgeable and who are more than willing to engage with you. And Mr. Ogbona, Mr. Bola, please flash your mic if you would like to speak to the issue as well. Sorry, who's that? Please say your name.
It's Bola.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Bola, you will speak after Mr. Ogbona. Mr. Ogbona, please go first. Then
Bola.
Mr.
Sorry.
Bola will speak.
Okay,
Should I go?
Let
okay, Bola,
Mr.
go.
Ogbona
Bola,
go.
go. Then I'll go after you.
All
Let
right.
Bola go. I'll go after you.
Okay. I think we'll be deceiving ourselves if we're saying there's still good people and all we need to do is give them the opportunity. And the question you asked about Buhari is this. You said he ran 3 times and it was because of the support of the South. But you've also forgotten that just recently they've come out to say that their number is in the majority. And the one thing people are forgetting is this. Yes, it might be 2/3 of states, 25% in 2/3 of states. But that's the first round. If there's no clear winner in the first round, The second round is simple majority. Because it was the same advice I was giving Showore during the last election that, look, don't pick a northerner, pick a southerner, lock down the vote of the South. And if it comes to simple majority, then you can go and now try and convince the radical northerners. So please, don't let us fool ourselves. There have been, as Otumba has mentioned, there have been loads and loads and loads of good people that would have changed things in Nigeria. Somebody mentioned it earlier today, and I'll say it again. The Nigerian system is not broken. It was designed to be so. It isn't broken. There's nothing to celebrate about. There's nothing to be thankful. Well, maybe the one thing to be thankful about is that Buhari eventually came in, and now we can now see things clearly for what it is. So please, do not let Nigeria kill you. Nigeria is killing people on a daily basis. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bona. Thank you for giving Mr. Boladi a chance to speak. Mr. Bona, you can have the floor.
Yes, thank you. What Paula said was just exactly what I wanted to say when Buki talked about needing the South. That's exactly just what I wanted to say. That's just for the first round. The second round, there now becomes a huge problem. And if anyone will look at the 2019 results, you see that the way the votes were, it's almost as if in the second round, the North doesn't need the South anymore. If you look at it, there were more, almost double votes from the North. You know, almost not. I mean, the North. When I mean the North, now I know the Middle Belt doesn't want to consider it. Okay, let me just say the Northeast, the Northwest, and then the Middle Belt. And if you compare all the votes from the South, so it was almost double. So let's say you go the first round and you don't get 25, 24. Once you go to the second round, that's the end. So we cannot say categorically that the South is needed because the way the election is now, I mean, if you take you back to 2011, you see the way Jonathan won. It was primarily the South and the Middle Belt, and that was how Obasanjo won too, the South and the Middle Belt too. But I think if you look at the 2019 election results, I think it's a bit out now. So I think we have to study the 2019 results to see what has actually happened. I don't think it's the same as 2015 anymore, and 2011. In fact, from 1999. So we have to be very mindful of that when we talk about this needing the South anymore. Thank you.
Otumba, please, can I quickly say something?
Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. Ogbona and Bola, thank you very much. I appreciate what you guys said. But now, let's look at this fact. In the North, when people are registering for voters during the voters registration, they always register underage voters. That's a fraud in itself. Agreed. But now, let's now look at it from this another perspective. That 2019 election, how many people actually registered to vote in the South? How many people casted their vote? Those are the things we still need to check. See, not keep making
Sorry,
this
Mr. Buki,
false impression. Okay?
please take into account voter suppression in the South, and also take into account how votes were manufactured from war-torn areas. In your response, please, voter suppression, i.e., Rivers State, Anambra State, and some other states in the South where votes were suppressed, and also how votes were manufactured in war-torn areas up north. Thank you.
Yes, I that's why I first mentioned the underage voters registration in the North. Those are the malpractices they practice in that place. Okay. Now let's look at Lagos, for example. They wanted to suppress votes in Lagos. Now I know about what's that place? There's this part of Lagos where we have a lot of Igbo people. After
Yes,
Isolo.
it's the Papa side,
No,
but they did
before
anyway.
if you're coming from Isolo,
Go,
before
First
Festac,
track. It's around first track.
Ago,
Agbala
and
Street.
Festac and all those places. Now,
Agbala.
yes. Now, see the way those people they were ready to defend their vote with their life. And what happened? They cancel some. Do you understand? You see, this thing is not far fetched. Okay, if we desire real change, now Awolowo died for this. Okay, went to prison for this country. Abiola was killed because of this country. A lot of people. Bola Ige was killed. Bison Obanjo was, during Buhari that time when he came after he chased away Shagari and he arrested all the governors, most especially the southern governors. He kept them in jail and he released his own people. Do you understand? No, these things are there for us to actually take a cue from. Once bitten, twice shy. We know how these people operate. What do? They create fear. They use force. And if you really desire change, see, nobody has monopoly of crazy in Nigeria. If Hausa people think, oh, they are crazy, they are hot-headed, man, we have people in the south that are ready to, match them inch for an inch. Do you understand? But until we stop to accept this idea they're trying to sell to us, that they are more, they carry the majority when it comes to vote. No, all those things are just lies, pure lies. Without the South, nobody can rule Nigeria. If the South decide to go against you, you can never rule Nigeria. And that fact still remains. You understand? I know all the shenanigans they practice in the North when it comes to election and all those things, but man, we still have a say in this thing. We are stakeholders in this thing. Nobody can push us backwards. And that's a fact.
Please, Otumba, can I just quickly say this? I think, Buki, it's not, I don't mean to insult you, please, but don't look at this thing in a simplistic manner. You've just said now that there are people in the South that are ready to match their madness. Do you think the South is designed that way? Take, for instance, I'll give you an example. The NSAS killing that happened in Lekki. If that happened anywhere in the North, what do you think would be their reaction? Do you think everybody would just disperse and run away? At least an example is the Shiites. They've been killing them for how many years now? They're still coming back. So please don't let us try and look at this thing on a simplistic level. We're two different people. And the earlier we realize that, yes, if we try, we can match their level of craze, but it's our intelligence that will beat them, not necessarily our craziness. And the issue of the elections, that the shenanigans they do over there, has anybody come out to stop it? Do you not see year after year pictures of underage children voting? And is anybody trying to stop it? No. And even with all the shenanigans they do, they still report that the percentage of people that voted is less than what was on the voter roll. I don't know the exact figure right now, but overall and even statewide, in states allocations, the percentages of votes of 2019 was far less than 50. I don't think there was any state that achieved 50%. So if you're saying that with everything they're doing, they still have more leeway to do the damage they want to do. I would accept the fact that yes, we've because of our attitude towards things, we've allowed it to be so. But please don't let's deceive ourselves that we will just stand up and say, okay, you people don't do that again. Or we'll wag our fingers at them and they will just bend down and say, sorry, sir. That would never happen.
Can I just add a different perspective, please?
All right, Mr. D, add that perspective, and after that, we can have one of our sisters, Olori Ashabi, go after you. Thank you.
You know, we work in a country where all our House of Rep, all our senators, all our governors, they seem to behave like they are in control. But the truth of the matter, they are not in control. The issues centering on the relationship between the various nations that make up the federation called Nigeria, the agitation for the control and management of economic resources, equal access to power, everywhere you look at it, you would always come to the same conclusion after a while. Some people, it's like solving a math problem. There are some people that, you give them a math problem and in like 60 seconds done. There are some people you give them the same math problem, in like 5 minutes they are done. There are some people you give them the same equation, same math problem. In 20 minutes, they are still out pieces of the puzzle of it. I'm going to take several for those people that believe it's possible. Let's ask ourselves, can possible? Let's talk about revenue allocation. Talk about AMAFAC. Truly, everybody agreed to share the money. So we'll make money on behalf of all the units, the ports in the south, the oil in the south. We'll take everything to the center and then we'll share it. Do you want to know the basis for sharing money? Let me tell you the basis. We share 40% of the money to all the states equally. So whether you are like the Western region, that at the time, don't forget that when there was a Northern region, when we had the old Republic, 1963, if you look critically at, the older maps, I'm not saying this map where people are just, every new military administrator will come and create a state. You understand? We're not talking about the older maps. Maps as at 1960, map at 1962, 1964. The number of states that make up Nigeria, I think they were about maybe 12. Western region, there was the Western region state, Lagos. Then there was the Midwestern region. There was Rivers. Then there was the East Central region and Southeastern region. We have Benue, Northeast, North Central, Northwest. Now we have 36 states. About 19 of them are in the north. And you have says we are going to share everything equally when they have more states than the south. So equality is number one. Then they said 30% of the revenue will be shared by population. A largely Christian southern Nigeria and a largely Muslim, a largely southern or mixed southern and Muslim southern Nigeria that are not run on theocracy. They are run on the principles of egalitarianism, which also means you only give birth to a population you can take care of.
You are breaking. Your network is breaking.
Oh,
intermittently. Yeah.
I'll change from that network. I'll just use this one. Is it better now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Compare that to a northern region. So you have population accounts for 30% of the revenue sharing. Land mass accounts for 10% of the revenue sharing. So if you have plenty land, like Jigawa, if you compare Jigawa and Lagos, I think you can remove whether it was 16 or 15 Lagos from Jigawa or something in that nature. It doesn't matter. So long as Jigawa has more land mass, they will always get more revenue. Then they call something revenue effort, which means that how much effort did you put into generating that revenue? And they only gave it 10%. And then they talked about primary enrollment, things like rainfall, water supply, hospital, and all that bullshit, another 10%. So if you look at the principles of sharing the revenue, more than 80% of it doesn't favor the South. That is just just even anybody that comes will know that more than 80% of it directly disenfranchise the South, which has smaller landmass, a smaller population, and actually, in terms of revenue efforts, we all know that about 70% of the
Sorry, Otumba, I have to go now. I have a meeting for 6, so I have to join that meeting. I'll be back after the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. You're always welcome. All right, thank you, Mr. D. Is Mr. D still there?
I think he had a network.
Yeah, I think I was trying to change his network.
Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let us assume that we have been inspired today by our friend, our comrade, Buki, and everybody in diaspora. We raised about 20, let's call it maybe $50 million. And I think he has left. By his impression, by his inspiration, he's galvanized the entire South. We did not vote for PDP. We did not vote for APC. We want to usurp this system. We want to take over everything. The total votes out of 468 votes that are available in the National Assembly, the total number of votes in House of Assembly members that are available for the South is 241. The total number of votes that is required to take a critical vote, a decision on behalf of the Constitution, on behalf of this country, is 67%, which means you need to have two-third majority, which means that you need to have 313 House of Assembly members. The South, in fact, the Southeast is, in fact, that one is even very funny. They only have 15, they have 15 senators and 43 House of Assembly members. Just to put it in context, the Southeast has 43 House of Rep. The Core North has 91 House of Rep. So imagine if the Southeast want to even lobby. What can 43 people do to get 91 people to vote for them? Especially when this vote is going to directly disenfranchise them. Let's say that the National Assembly is deliberating on VAT collection, to say that wherever you collect your VAT, you should spend it in that state. The issue becomes clearer when you look at the numbers. If the entire South agrees that VAT should be collected and spent by the states, they still don't have enough majority to pass this bill because they are 241, and the total number that is required to achieve a two-third majority is about 313. So therefore, assuming that they are able to get all their House of Assembly members from the Christian Middle Beltan states of Plateau and Benue, in order to pass this bill, to get to 313, you will need to convince Kaduna, Niger, Bauchi, Gombe, Nasarawa, or Taraba to vote for the bill, for any bill, restructuring, VAT collection, resource control, state police, healthcare, education reform, economic policy reform, economic liberalization, even ban on open grazing. So the realities are this. Everywhere you look at the Constitution, you look at the House of Assembly, it is a landlocked. And the overwhelming majority, the fact that in order to achieve a two-third majority, even if the entire core north, which is Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, Jigawa, Yobe, and Borno, are voting or will be directly affected by this bill, so they will vote no to restructuring. How do you get votes from the Middle Belt, from Kaduna, from Niger, from Bauchi, from Gombe, from from Adamawa, from Nasarawa, and from Taraba? And your failure to convert these people will continue to mean that you can never achieve any kind of policy making in that National Assembly that would favor the people of the South. And that is why there is a jihad in that Middle Belt. Not only are they being deprived of the ability to carry out agriculture, which is the main GDP of that region, agriculture, they are also being forced to give up their own lands for foreigners, for settlers from Mauritania, so that those people in another generation, maybe 20 years, will start to control the House of Assembly, the House of Senate. What is very, very obvious is that if we do not start to become part and parcel, if we don't go and wage a southern war in the middle belt as well to protect the people of the middle belt, a day is coming where laws will be passed in this country without the request or the vote of the South, because these people are coming in force and in numbers. The numbers show it. 241 Southern House of Assembly members cannot overturn a Senate of 468 people because they need 313 people. And they cannot achieve 313 people because they don't have votes from the middle belt and the core north. The numbers don't just work. There's no way to look at it. If you have a pen and paper, just go and look at the House of Assembly members from the north and the south and think of it that which kind of political permutation. Let's even assume every single southerner, Yoruba, Igbo, Efik, Ijo, Ishekiri, Urobo, Tif. Let's assume they all speak with one voice, and that voice is restructuring. Let's assume we are all in Buki National Party, since it was Buki's idea, and he gave us $200 million to campaign, to set up party structures, to influence votes, to do all the beautiful things that all this old party, youth party, all those inspirational things that people like to see on this app, that the youth must unite. Once you unite, it's a magical one that can solve all our problems. Let's assume we actually do that, and we achieve all the votes. It's a clean sweep. We defeat PDP, defeat APC, defeat CPC, ACN, AD. Every single party is defeated, and only Buki National Party won. And now we have 241 House of Assembly members, all in Buki National Party, with just one mandate. Your first day, vote for a bill for restructuring of this country along fiscal federalism. How would you achieve that same goal with this constitution? It is just completely impossible. It is landlocked. There is no way. 241 can never become 313. And that right there is the problem. That's the problem. So people, I don't want us to say things that are not practical in the process of trying to sound politically correct. You thinking that you can change this system from the inside out without any external force, you are just akin to a child that has not realized his left from his right. If you study it very well, if you just take a step back and you stop believing all those Martin Luther King people and all those I have a dream, Nigeria can be better tomorrow, all those Ojo Elegba poets, like all those Chukwumerije that come and sing to you to mesmerize your ears and they say nice and beautiful words. And you go back and you open your paper, there is a reason why every single time there is an agitation in this country, from anything as give us Panadol, reduce the price of dollar, stop killing us. They will say all the youths go together, go and form a political party, elect a ward member, elect House of Rep. If you guys have the numbers, go and vote in Senate, go and get your PVC, because they know that in that Senate, in that House of Assembly, you will always be met by greater forces. Whether you win one senator, one House of Assembly, or you win all 241 from the banks of Keba in Kogi or Kwara down to the last state in Cross River, you win every single thing, sweeping from West Coast to East Coast, every single state, every single senator, every single House of Assembly members. The total number of House of Assembly members you will have is 241. You need 313 to make any pass a bill. Even if the president doesn't assent, with 313 people, you can override it and pass it into law, and this country will achieve restructuring. But as far as this country is concerned, the numbers don't work in any southern favor. The only solution, pulled out in constitution, allow the people to carry out a referendum and rewrite a plebiscite or a constitution that works for the South, that works for each and everybody, that even works for some states in the middle belt. And I would like to close by reminding you about these figures. Just know that before you tell us that it is possible, Kaduna State generated 18 billion in VAT between January and August, and they got 33 billion from the federal government. That money was generated largely in the south. Niger State got 4 billion they generated 4 billion and they got 25 billion. Bauchi State generated 5 billion and they got 26 billion. Gombe State generated 4 billion, they got 18 billion. Benue State, no, Adamawa State generated 4 billion and they got 22 billion. Nasarawa State generated 2 billion and they got 17 billion. Taraba State generated 2 billion and they got 18 billion. So the question is, you can see clearly that all these states generated less than they got, sometimes double, sometimes 4, 5, 6 times what they generated, that's what they got. That is Southerners' money. The question is, what is the incentive for them to vote for any kind of restructuring that will favor the South and immediately disenfranchise them? I yield the mic.
Hello, I have a question real quick for D. You just made explained how easy or how difficult it would be for Southerners working together to pass a bill or to bring it into law. What I would like to hear from you is also to tell us how easy, if that is a thing, for Northerners, together or separately, to how easy would it be for them to pass a bill or bring any idea to law?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again? I missed the last part.
So it's difficult for us to bring it into law, even when we work together. Is it also difficult for the North to bring any idea to law if they work together, or would they face the same problems we face in the South?
The
Or
problem
would it
is
be easy
that
for them?
everything they needed to take from you, they passed it with a decree. Every time they want to achieve an agenda, they want to create more states, they want whatever, they do it under the military, they will pass it into law, then they will pass it back into a Republican or a Democratic regime, and you will continue working. Don't forget that in 1999, your president, our president, the president sweared in on a constitution that he had no idea what the nitty-gritties are. So all these things I'm telling you about this resource control, it has already been signed into constitution. It's not that it's debatable. So therefore, now that Nigeria is in crisis and it is obvious to the blind and it is very, very audible to the deaf that we need to start population control in the north. But population is one of the incentives to share money in Abuja. So the question to you and I is, which governor, knowing fully well that the moment they start population control in the state, will stop getting huge revenue that is not even generated in the state but is generated in the south? Which northern governor will pass or will work to have a population control bill in his state? Which northern governor will work to have an education reform policy apart from Kaduna State that will rapidly educate the Amajiris on the street to let them know that
Almajiri is our pride. Almajiri is our pride. Dakpo.
so see, when we talk about a clash of civilization, it's a clash of ideology. What we have in the Nigerian system is like Afghanistan and America, or Afghanistan and France joined together. You have a state that believes that the responsibility for taking care of the citizenry belongs to the government in one region. And you have another state that believes that the responsibility for taking care of myself, my citizenry, belongs to the citizen. So therefore, the Southerner expects that the responsibility for education, for feeding, is his own ability to create wealth, because he has been educated by Michael Okpara and Awolowo, Chief Obafemi Awolowo's free education policies. So you grow up, and even your driver, from the most privileged to the less privileged, they consider it important to know that what if I'm going to give birth to one child, two children, their responsibility for how they are going to get by is not by begging. It's not by going from one big man's house gate to the other looking for their daily bread. From the time they are born, I'm responsible for pampers. I'm responsible for baby food. When they are of age, I will pay for kindergarten. I will pay for nursery school. That is the education, the impact of education, to let you know that it is through education that you can make a means for yourself. It is what is in your culture and tradition. But in some other regions, their culture and tradition is Amajirinchi.
Ranka
When a child
Dede,
is of
Ranka Dede,
when
Alaji, Ranka.
a child is of age, he will roam about the streets. Don't you understand? For a child to be 6 years old, we have states in this country that girls, 90% of girls between the ages of 6 to 18 cannot read and write. We have a state in this country that in 2004 they only had 24 children in the entire state. Only 24 children had 5 credits, including English and maths. We have some states in this country that 80 to 90% of the population lives in extreme poverty, abject poverty. So, which economic policy can you write that will favor everybody other than the subjugation of the productive to favor the unproductive? What we have in Nigeria is equality, but not justice. It is that 100 naira was generated in Nigeria. You have 2 children. One generated 70 naira. The other child generated 30 naira. Then you will now give the child that generated 70 naira 40 naira. And you will give the child that generated 30 naira 60 naira. And you will now say to the child that generated 40 naira that the country is in problem, that it should try and generate 150 naira next year. So that child will go again and he will go and tax his citizens to go and work hard, and then they will generate more revenue. But at the end of the day, you keep on rewarding those that generate less revenue with more money. So therefore, at a stage, the wikis of the South are saying, okay, enough is enough. Let me hold my VAT. Whatever you like, do. But I cannot generate VAT in my state when I have infrastructure projects that are outstanding. I have education projects that are outstanding. I have pensioners that I'm owing for 7 months. Naira. While some states in this country, the average tax by citizen in that state is about 10,000 naira. So how can it be fair where those that are not paying taxes are seeing dividends of democracy, and then those that are paying heavily and funding the lifestyle of this government are seeing next to nothing? That is why there is mass urban migration in the south, and the northerners are saying, well, it can work because they are seeing the dividends of democracy they did not pay for. I yield the mic.
D, correction. We are not Almajiris. We are only Ranka Dede, Alaji, Ranka Dede.
Otumba, Olori, I think Olori was supposed to go next. Otumba is not available. Olori, Jibaba.
Olori, Olori, please. I believe I've bored everybody with my data. Please, Olori, go ahead. These are real issues. And until we start to understand the intricacies, we can never move forward. There are some very complex problems we have in this country. Very complex. And the problem is that we always have people that gloss over the problem, but they never gloss over solutions. They never let you know that, in fact, this is just the restructuring or balkanization of this country is the fastest way to salvage any part of Nigeria. If we don't do it now, that we still have something to clutch onto, we can't do it in the future. The country will be totally gone. Let me tell you today about our debt. I want to talk about debt because it is something that whether or not you are in Nigeria, you will always see it in the news, you see it on social media. Every Nigerian is owing 165,000, and you'll be asking yourself, but did I borrow money from the government? How come I'm owing as a citizen money? How come this country has such a debt profile? I'd like to tell you about the debt, and I'll keep it as interactive and as short as possible. Between 1999 and 2015, the failures of PDP, because we will call them failures, because everybody will say it is the failure of PDP that did not allow us to progress. The failure of PDP, the clueless Jonathan, I'm so sorry if you are from the south or the southeast. Just go, just trust me. The incompetent and clueless, like what's his name, the Kaduna State Governor, uh, El Rufai said during his campaign trail that they don't know what they are doing, that these people are useless. They only borrowed 9 trillion. In 1999, the national debt was 3.55 trillion. By 2015, that debt had grown to 12.6 trillion. So, in 16 years of PDP failure, they only accrued 9 trillion in national debt. Between 2015 and 2016, after Buhari took over, Nigeria incurred more than 50% of the debt that PDP spent 16 years to incur. We incurred it in just 1 year. So
Yeah.
between 2015 and 2016, our debt went from 12.6 trillion to 17.4 trillion. By 2017, the clueless Jonathan and PDP that spent 16 years in power and they were only able to accrue 9 trillion in debt. Buhari spent just 2 years in power and he accrued 9 trillion more in debt. Just 2 years. It took 12.6 trillion in 2015. By 2017, it was 21.7 trillion. And in 2018, it continued and it took it to 24.4 trillion. In 2019, it did not stop. He added another 3 trillion to make it 27.1 trillion. By 2020, that debt was 31 trillion. We are in 2021, and we are hearing that the debt is around 35 trillion. So therefore, it took PDP 16 years to reach 9 trillion, to accrue 9 trillion in debt. But when you got to the very intelligent, very sagacious, very, brilliant economic manager that Buhari is, in less than 6 years, I repeat, in less than 6 years, he accrued 22 trillion in debt. So 186% more than PDP happened or than we were able to do in 16 years. This guy did it in 6 years. So you can
But
imagine
D,
that by the time he will leave government, this very kind, very charismatic, very caring and very economically smart president that we have would have sent us in nothing less than 30 trillion more debt than he met it. So he met the debt at 12.6 and it is already at 35.
but
Now
we
my my
but we
my
told you
people,
Buhari will handle security, Oshibajo will handle economy.
let us not lie for ourselves. These people don't know what they are doing, and they are further driving us into the ground. Last year, Nigeria earned, was it not 5 trillion, and spent 4 trillion servicing debt, 4.9 trillion. So for every 100 naira we earned, we spent about 98 naira servicing debt. So that 2 naira is what we will use to build roads, build bridges, build infrastructure, pay salary, pay pension, service everything, put excess crude account, which is savings for the future. Is it possible? No. A time is coming where this debt will eat maybe 50, maybe 70 trillion. Just so you know, there is a debt threshold that Nigeria is not supposed to exceed. There is a debt threshold of about 26% or 25% of debt to GDP that Nigeria is never supposed to exceed. Nigeria managed to exceed it under Buhari because they were just signing things into law. So I keep on begging people, if you don't pay attention now, is it when we are like Zimbabwe that you start paying attention? Let us talk about dollar. In 2015, when the clueless and incompetent Jonathan left dollar, when we chased him away because he did not know what he was doing, he gave us dollar at 197. We said, Jonathan, corruption, this, that. We voted the Iron Man, the corruptless leader. In 1 year, he added about 58 naira to dollar. Dollar was 197. Just after 1 year, dollar became 253. After another 1 year, dollar became 305. So in the space of just 1 year, Buhari added 98, which is 50% of the dollar value. It depreciated the naira by 50%. So before he came into office, dollar was 197. After 2 years, dollar was 305. So he managed in the space of 1 year, in 2 years, to add 98 to depreciate the naira by 50%. He didn't stop there. By 2020, that dollar was no more 305. It was now 381. Today we are hearing 560. Maybe tomorrow it will be 1,000. I
Hello,
don't know when Nigerians will wake up. I just don't know. I don't know
hello.
what will be. Yes, please.
I would like to pose a question, a real question, if you may. You've been hitting on the points of the problems, which I can feel where you're coming from. I think many Nigerians can feel that the same. But especially when we talk about the constitution and turning things around, and many Nigerians have proposed different ideas. Some proposed, making up a new constitution altogether. Some talked about restructuring and all that. Some talking about secession. Like I said, if we come to the constitution and something like any of this thing happened, being someone that is familiar with the process or with what's going on with law, what would you suggest would be an approach, in terms of constitution? What strong points in the constitution would you like to see if, for example, there was a new country, or there was a completely, they take down this constitution and bring in a new one, or you know any other alternatives you see that would turn things around?
And there's only one simple answer to that. Let them include referendum in the constitution. That solves the whole problem.
I
How
think
can we have a union without a clause for referendum in the constitution? That's where the whole problem is coming from. All the English that D has been saying to you since, can't you see where it's coming from? It's the constitution. How can we have a union that is non-negotiable?
yeah.
How can we have a union that is non-negotiable? If the only thing they could change that will solve the whole problem is to include referendum in the constitution, let the people have the right to decide if they want to continue in the union or not. It's that simple. Guy, don't come here and be beating about the bush. D has given us the statistics. Simple Google search will show you that the essence of the union is strictly for They mentioned it there, bro. Not for political reasons, strictly for administrative purposes. The North has always been in deficit, budget deficit. The South has always been in budget surplus. They find it convenient for strictly for administrative, and they joined it together, right? So for all these years, the South has been bearing the burden of the budget deficit in North. For how long are we going to continue in fixing what is not fixable? That is how the Constitution is designed. It's not broken. Guy, get it in, let it sink. The
Let,
Constitution,
let, let,
the
let, let,
system is not broken.
So I
let,
was
let,
asking.
let me add. Let me add. You see, thank God you are Niger Delta. There's a famous quote of this particular man. I don't know if I start. Maybe you'll be able to help me finish. Unluckily for us, after the man said the words, and one Nigerian musician, let's call his name, is a Grammy winner. He decided to use it to start one of his songs. He said the government has continued the marginalization and injustice of the people. Then he said something that the generation that is coming after us will be more brutal than the ones that we are dealing with now. And I would like to use that as a preface for this submission. You see, the problem with Nigeria is that the easy solution is like somebody has cancer. You know that the solution to this person's cancer is surgery. You need to get him out of, his house and take him into the hospital, get him to the best surgeons, let them open him up and take out the dead cancer. But the easy solution is Panadol. Just buy Panadol for him. Whenever he's feeling heavy-headed, he will take some Panadol and he will feel better. And all we seem to do for this dear friend of ours who has cancer is to just tell him, what kind of Panadol will you like? Do you want the one created by Emzo, or you want the one by me and Baker? Do you want Panadol from the UK, or do you want Panadol from the US? Nigeria was never designed to work. It was an exploitation, an amalgamation for administrative purposes. Those people that signed it, that signed a 100-year contract, it has since expired. The works of our founding fathers have been destroyed. Let me tell you, if you are not already having children who are the ages of 15, 14, 16, who are asking you some seriously difficult questions, then you must be in the age of those people that ask their parents some seriously difficult questions. Like, why is this country not working? Why do we have to buy a generator and each person in the compound generates their own electricity? Why do we all have to sink boreholes? Don't you think that there should have been a central water system like other countries? Why is electricity so complex to solve? Why is security so complex to solve? Why is it that an attorney general of the federation can be killed and after 20 or 15 years, not even a single clue as to who did it? Not a single clue. Why is it that a country will feel so comfortable to roll down the guns that were purchased by taxpayers of that same country to go and kill innocent young citizens who are holding the flag of the country? Why is it that the chief of army staff was not fired? What will give us the temerity to continue to do stupid things and expect a different result? This country is a paradox of many failures. Even the most intelligent of economists would tell you that in order for this country to work, you need to fragment it. You need to separate it. You need to take it apart. The education policy that will work for the South would disenfranchise the North. Similar, the education policy that will work for the North will kill the South. We are completely at different stages of our civilization. We are trying to crawl into the end of the industrial age. Some people are just crawling into the beginning of the industrial age. I don't think you understand.
Ataya, Ataya.
Education for the South, we are moving from a situation where we should stop funding secondary or university education to a situation whereby we start funding education and connecting it to industries. And a situation in the North where they are not even interested in your education. So you have to enshrine quota system or bastardize the quality so that these people can get educated. Don't you get it? You are two different levels of your civilization. One person is trying to move forward. The other person is just waking up. How can you have two children? You are supposed to go to work at 8 o'clock. Every day, you wake up your two children to go to work at 8 o'clock. One child will wake up at 5 minutes to 8, and he will delay the children so that you miss the 8 o'clock bus until he is ready at 10 o'clock. While the other child will wake up at 6 a.m. He will be dressed at 7 and he will be at the bus stop, but he will never be able to move until the other child gets there at 10. This is the paradox of many failures, in case you don't understand. We are different levels of our civilization. You cannot be in a country where a very poor state like Ogun State will be generating 60 billion with 5 million population in IGR. Another very rich state like Katsina State, who has 3 times the population of Ogun State, would only be generating 9, 12 in IGR. It doesn't make sense to govern those two people with the same policies. It doesn't make any sense for you to be doing Ruga for a place that is not interested in Ruga and to be using the taxpayers' money of everybody to fund it. These are the paradox of many failures we're talking about. What works for the North destroys the South. What works for the South destroys the North. So therefore, every time there is a Northern governor, he will continue to do things that are stupidly, that the South will consider very stupid, and the North will praise him for. And after he's gone, the Southern president will come and do things that the North will consider stupid, and the South will praise him for. But at the very beginning of this problem, our founding fathers understood that we were a nation of nations. So when they signed independence, they gave us regional system where the East managed their region, the Midwest managed their region, the West managed their region, and the Core North managed their region, where those that wanted to implement Sharia implemented Sharia. Those that wanted to go after Coca-Cola, go after Guinness, go after WAMCO, open banks, open trade policies to allow people to be able to trade. They did that. Those that wanted to build mosques and all of that, they did that. We cannot have two people using one person's deficiencies to judge the other person. You cannot take debt on behalf of one side to go and pay and go and build infrastructure on the other side. It doesn't make any sense. There are so many paradoxes of many failures. If you think that you can get it through the National Assembly, it's not possible. So the only way to resolve it is to go back to what the founding fathers wanted, what the indigenous people of Nigeria really wanted before the British came, before the white man came, is to give these regions autonomy. And for you to do that, you need to pull down the fraudulent constitution and allow the people to conduct a referendum. Every effort to have a sovereign national conference to discuss the challenges of this country has been frustrated by just one side. It happened in 2007, it happened in 1990, it continued to happen till today. We have so many opportunities to fix the problem, but we refuse to do it. That is just the truth. It is a very hard solution. It is very hard to balkanize this country. It is
Treaty with other countries. And this is what South Africa does. South Africa, for instance, look at their movie industry and compare to Nigeria. You know, the industry in Nigeria is being run by individuals. The government are not involved in the movie industry in Nigeria, not so ever. We've been
and it is free for all. It will not be the politicians anymore. It will be your mothers and fathers in the farms, in the villages, those people that you think you're in diaspora, you're working hard, you're sending $20, $100, $200 home to sustain your people. Those are the people that will be the target of the extremely poor people when they rise up. Think of it. 86 million poor people are in this country living on less than 1,000 naira a day. When they get fed up with this system, they will burn this country to the ground from the north to the south. And that is a fact. That is a fact. 86 million is no small joke. Go and check how many African countries, more out of 56 African countries or EU countries, 23 million of them are, are, are in Nigeria. If you look at the population of extremely poor people, we dominate in a lot of places except in India. If those poor people gang up, that's more than if 10 million poor people enter the southwest to create 10 million poor people enter the southwest, they will destroy the southwestern civilization in less than a week. They will burn, they will destroy in less than a week. Think of all the havoc that happened in Lagos State during the NSAS riot. Billions of properties destroyed. The total population of those youths who were disenfranchised, who felt frustrated by the killings of the government, were less than 500. Look at how much damage they did to Lagos State. Think of it when 1 million people in Lagos State decide to destroy Lagos State. There will be nothing left. All the stores will be looted from the biggest to the smallest. All the institutions will be looted from the biggest to the smallest. This is the reasons why economic policies must be very reflective on the key economic indicators: poverty, unemployment, misery. Misery in this country is 3 times worse than it was under Jonathan. Only God knows what it will be in the next 5 years. We cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. Yoruba nation, Igbo nation, Ijaw nation, Ishekiri nation, let them begin to happen so that people can take control of their destinies. How long? 1.5 million to 2 million people in Benue State are living in IDP camp. What makes it very sad is that the population of Benue State as at what time was about 4 million. So just imagine if 50% of the people cannot go back home to their houses. Just imagine that level of insecurity in the Middle Belt. Once that war is done in the Middle Belt, it is coming nowhere but the South. It will no longer, those people in the Middle Belt, they were being too quiet for more than 30 years, experiencing a silent genocide. Just type silent genocide in the Middle Belt in Google and read up on it. Those people are being killed for you. They are the last barrier of the war. Once that battalion and infantry is broken and decimated and overtaken, the cannons of war will face the South. And I pity you that you think that you can fix it from the comfort of your house, that we don't need restructuring, we don't need resource control, we just need to elect good leaders. There's no good leader, no single individual that can overturn the institution. Just use this Nigeria's last 6 years as a classic example. They say Oshibanjo is a good leader. Buhari is not a good leader. Abi, so that when Buhari was away, Oshibanjo was leading the country right. The moment Buhari came back, Buhari destroyed everything. Is that not the same thing they said? What is dollar today? Doesn't matter who was good or who was bad. What is the national debt today? Doesn't matter who was good or who was bad. How many jobs did he create? Doesn't matter who was good or who was bad. Things are simply getting worse by the day. And I will close my submission by telling you that crate of egg, maybe because I used to buy eggs, so the thing used to pay me every time, and I do cry a bit. Crate of egg used to be 800 naira for jumbo. Today, a crate of egg is 1,800. It is just in the space of 5 years. Just in the space of 5 years, 800 to 1,008. I don't want to know what will happen when crate of egg reaches to 5 in this country. I don't want to know what will happen. You people are playing with the lives of poor people in this country because you are middle class, because you are safe, because you are not seeing the poverty in the eyes of people. The numbers are telling you that people are poor. You are still arguing that let them go and elect good leaders, let them go and get PVC, let them go and vote. You think they will care about that when the uprising happened? Just go and read the Arab Spring uprising. Go and read what happened in Libya, in Egypt, in Algeria, in Tunisia. Find out what bread did, just the cost of bread. The cost of bread. Find out how he overthrew a presidency. And you
All right, thank you so much, Mr. D. Thank you so much, Mr. D. That is a lot that we have to reflect on, and I hope we are taking learnings from that. Mr. Bonka, historically, why is it that Nigeria has not worked? And today we are celebrating Nigeria at 61. Do we have anything to be thankful for? Do we have anything to celebrate? Bonka, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can, can I be heard?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Um, before I go, the answer to that is very simple. Uh, ask yourself, did I have the same privileges and joy that my parents had? I don't even need to answer that question. Just have a flashback. Observe the life, especially if your parents or grandparents grew up in the 50s or 60s, and early 70s to mid 70s, because things started getting bad in the 80s. So if your parents lived at that time, and you're able to see pictures, or they were able to tell you their exploits, the things they did, the value for life they had, we can answer that question then.
Is it going forward or is it going backwards? So that's the kind of simple answer to that. Uh, Now, every country evolved. Every country goes through an age, right? And there are three ages that goes. But first of all, thank you, Mr. D, for that powerful summation. By the time you are done, I'm sure that anybody that is even imagining or thinking of arguing with you gets shut down immediately. And that was what happened at that debate house. It was a good thing you went first. It totally kind of knocked them off, and we always appreciate those datas. But as I was saying, three stages go through an age of revolution, evolution of a people to a prosperous nation. And the first age is the age of education. The second age is the age of industrialization. And the third stage is the stage of technology. Those are the three, every advanced stage you have seen in the world today went through those three stages. So some industrialization started in the 1800s. In fact, industrialization is the reason why they started to build empires, because industrialization does not require too much labor. It requires less labor and more dependent on it's based on this guy, this man's, you're an economist, Mr. Is it Harold Smith or what's his name? Something Smith, that wrote the theory of division of labor.
Adam Smith.
Adam Smith.
Adam Smith, yes, thank you. So industrialization was built on his philosophy, right? And they noticed that more is done. And we were on that stage in the 50s. We had been able to conquer the age of education and the age of industrialization. And that's something that takes many years for many countries to do. But we had a visionary leader that did it in the space of 10 years, transformed a whole region to the age of education and the age of industrialization. And that was the time when you saw all those industrial estates popping out. There was the industrial estate at Ikeja. You know, they always say that Lagos was not part of Western region. It was some people say it's a no man's land. Lagos was part of Western region. Lagos was built on cocoa money, right? Ikeja, industrial layout, Apapa Wharf. All that was built by Awolowo. And so you can see the industrial estates he propped up. You can see the industrial estates he had at Ibadan. You can see the industrial estates he had at Benin for the rubber. You can see the plantations he had. And you can see how he was integrating people through not only two forms of education. One is the physical education, and the other is the manual education, people learning skills and labor. And for some reason, he was a smart genius at what he was doing. But Nigeria was not designed to survive. Nigeria was not designed to excel. Nigeria was designed to be exploited. And that was why you see Fulani people ruling over us today. It's not by chance and it's not by coincidence. They having that audacity to say in front of their plate number that they were born to rule wasn't a coincidence. It's something, a privilege that they've had over many years because they had help from the British. When the British was leaving, the intention they had was that they were going to continue.
Can't hear you.
I think Gonka is off.
Yeah,
He's off
it's
the
out of the
stage.
room.
Probably it is his network.
It's back. It's back.
Okay.
The enemies of Yoruba nation put me out. Non Nigerian people. Sorry, I think I lost signal for a minute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes, we
now.
Loud and
can.
clear.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. So, when shortly before independence, the Fulani people were preparing to continue with their jihad because they felt that the jihad was stopped because of colonialization. And immediately the British left, they will continue. And Tafawa Balewa said it. I mean, people can Google it up, word for word, what I'm about to say. He said, if the British were to bequeath Nigeria today, we will continue our jihad uninterrupted until we bury the Quran on the sea. That's what Tafawa Balewa said in the 40s. So now, there have been always been two factions of people. There were those who became very pro-British, especially the ruling people of the North, the ruling dynasties. They became very pro-British, and they became like their lackeys. They're like their apologists, people that embraced them. But there was still that group of people that believed that the jihad needed to continue. It is among those group of people that people like Tafawa Balewa belong, and it was among those group of people that people like Muritala belonged. Muritala came on board to continue with jihad, but there was no need to do it through guns and all that. He already had the power of the military, and he was setting a lot of booby traps for a future jihad. And that was why he created the position of the Grand Mahdi. That was why had he started work with Gumi of that time. The man's name was Gumi. It seems like people with the name Gumi are just destined to do terrible things. That was the guy going to place Nigeria under OIC. That started with Muritala, even though it ended with Babangida. The Ruga concept started with Muritala. So there was all a jihadist concept. And those that want jihad, they're like Atahiru of Shokoto. They hated the British. And you can see how much Muritala totally disliked the British. Of course, and the resulting to his coup, what resulted to his coup and all that had a lot to do with Western influence. Because if it continued the way he was going to destroy all of the European interest in Nigeria. He was actually starting to nationalize their companies. He was nationalizing their oil companies, nationalizing their banks. So he wanted to strip Nigeria totally of Western influence and then bring in his Arab influence, the Middle East influence. That was his plan. And that was why he was gotten rid of. And for those who were old enough at that time, I wasn't, I was still a young man. So, but I mean, for those who were of adult age, you will see that the people, Goyim, they call them Goyim in Jewish word, sheep that don't even know what was going on. People were so angry at Muritala's death that people were marching to the British and American embassies and actually about to do a mob lynch of the people there because they felt like they played a role in that death, especially when Gowon was being kept with them in England. But that's this besides the point. But we can see that these things have been going, and this Nigeria that we are now is a Nigeria where after things have been done, the military comes in. The military has come in twice, and the military have given us a constitution twice. And the two times that they've given us a constitution, they've further destroyed the identity of the Yoruba man. They've further destroyed the identity of the Igbo man. They've further destroyed the identity of the Niger Delta. So how does this happen? Now, when Muritala came, he saw the way that in the First Republic, Igbos could speak with one voice under Okpara. Yoruba people could speak with one voice under Awolowo. As you know, um that was the only time we had official opposition that was actually a threat to the government. So right now, I'm sure we all had what Dee was saying about how it's structured now that even if the South and all of them come together, they can't overrun the North in that structure. Well, it was not like that in the First Republic. Awolowo did a good job of pulling in the Middle Belt under Joseph Taka, right? He did a good job of bringing in the Niger Deltans. He did a good job of bringing in Opara, the successor of Awolowo, and they would have easily totally overrun the government. And so you see that these are people learning from their mistakes. When they got into power, these are all the things they studied, and they're like, we need to create a constitution that will never make these people, that would hold these people hostage in a way that they will never be able to challenge us through the use of politics. That was what it was about. And when Awolowo was reading his prison, shortly before his prison sentence, he was told to read a speech. And he said, listen, the South now is run by ideology, but the time will come when this feudal kind of leadership in the North, this evil system of feudal and privileged class of the North, will get to the South and ideology will not exist anymore. That was what he said in 1962 when he was being sentenced. He said, "This is my greatest fear, not the fear of my prison sentence. In fact, when he was being sent to prison, the people that were sent with him, they were crying. And I'm talking of who was that? The guy at the middle belt. He's one of the lieutenants from the middle belt. He was the minister for communication. He was the one that did the Western Nigerian. Can
Is it
someone remind me?
Anthony Enaro?
Thank you, Anthony Enahoro, and the guy that now became Second Republic governor of Lagos, Lateef Jakonde. They were all sentenced to prison with him, and Enahoro busted into tears. And Awolowo was like, why are you crying? What? He said he would have loved to take his prison sentence along with Awolowo's own. But to see that someone like Awolowo was going to prison, it kind of like he can't handle it. His spirit cannot handle it. And Awolowo told him something. That man is an oracle. That man said, "Oh, don't worry. God is taking us to this prison to take us out of the way when the imminent danger comes." That's all that man said. That the danger is coming, and God is only taking us to prison to make sure we are not in the way when that danger comes and consumes all. Lo and behold, it took 2 years, and everybody saw that danger. Listen to some of the words of Awolowo, and I'm going to read some of his quotes. In 1958, Awolowo said, "The North is a dead weight on the country as a whole, a gradual but sure weight on the fast-moving South." 1958. Does that sound like a prophet for our time? Let our imaginations answer that. Now, this is what he said in 1970. And these are kind of things being said to back up these datas. I'm backing his datas with history of those who had the visions of when this is going to happen. In 1970, he said, "In a country where the accuracy of the census figures is so much in acrimonious dispute, it is gross and aggravating provocation to urge that population should be used as a basis of sharing what belongs to others who are much fewer in number." Okay, familiar as well,
Please,
compared to what
Bunka, can you read that again, please?
Okay, in a
Bunka,
country
please
where
read it again. I want to hear it one
yes,
more time.
in a country where the accuracy of the census figures is so much in acrimonious dispute, it is gross and aggravating provocation to urge that population should be used as a basis of sharing what belongs to others who are much fewer in number. Obafemi Awolowo, 1970, from his book Autobiography of AWO. This is what he said in 1947. The seed for a future minority problem in the North has been sown. It will grow with growing political consciousness on the part, and it will never be settled permanently in the North. 1947. Does that sound familiar today? This is what Awolowo said in 1970. A state police is crucial. Police is a residual subject because in the immediate problem of maintaining law and order, it can only be properly and more effectively tackled by the state government. 1970. 1968. Any system of education which does not help a man to have a healthy and sound body, an alert brain, and balanced and disciplined instinctive urges is both misconceived and dangerous. Does that sound familiar? Those that get dangerous today, where are they sent? Almanjiri School of the Scholars, right? So let's go. Let me find. There are two more that I marked, but sorry, yeah. Okay, so 1981, he said, when all talents in society are not fully developed, it is not the individuals that are adversely affected alone who suffer. The society as a whole suffers as well. Now, granting that every Nigerian is given an opportunity to develop his talents, it is imperative that he should also be given an opportunity to employ those developed talents. Full development of a man and his full employment are not only social imperatives, but also inseparably interconnected. If this is not done, people will result to people will result to antisocial behaviors. Now, does the Yahoo Yahoo and what's that guy in Dubai? What's his name?
Hush puppy.
Uh, Hush Puppy. Does that all come to context? These are very smart people, and many of them are in Nigeria that are not given that opportunity to shine. Right now, a greedy, corrupt. This is also 1974. A greedy, corrupt, and evil administration is bound to wither sooner or later in the face of obsessive desire and mounting clamor on on the part of the masses of the people for a welfare regime which will benefit all equally. Now, finally, I'm talking of my final quote from the sage. He said, I predict that every multilingual or multinational country must either eventually have a strong federal constitution, he put emphasis on the word strong, or disintegrate, or be perennially afflicted with disharmony and instability. Now, does that sound familiar? These are words of a prophet. So, I mean, we don't need to sit down here and argue back and forth and argue back and forth. Look at what people that did not live in our time predicted. Look at what is happening now. The quotes I quoted were from page 68 to page 80 of the book of the sage. And I'm sure these quotes can also be found online. So this is what these people have done. The feudalists, they always see how to exploit the South, and they will now have things that used to be their decrees, and then they will fabricate it into a constitution. So by the time we had the Second Republic, they've changed this narration from a federal structure to a presidential structure. Why is that? It's much harder for you to organize as an opposition in a presidential structure. It way more harder. You just have to wait until the elections come. And the powers of a president is always stronger in a presidential system. The states have been weakened and they've been recreated. So it went from 3 to 5, from 5 to 12, and from 12 to 19, as at the time they were having the Second Republic, right? Now, even at that, Awolowo still did a good job as a premier of the Western region. You can see all the things they did in the 80s. They still tried. They still kind of were able to do a lot of things. Now, Babangida came and Abacha came. Then they now further created, balkanized Nigeria into much smaller states to a point where now that you can't even, it's hard for you to now speak as a bloc, much harder. They now created more draconian laws. One of it is the Ompandek law of Babangida that became the NDDC bill that finally found its way into the constitution, right? Another one is the anti-ethnic law that said people must not gather on ethnic grounds, which they fabricated into the law to say Nigeria's indivisibility is inseparable. The fixed for float rate on the black market, that was Babangida, got rolled into the constitution. Security votes, Babangida rolled into a constitution. So you can see how these things are now, you now know what they did to crown it all. They now did something called exclusive list. What kind of madness says that me, you, Sanwo-Olu, governor of Lagos, cannot do a papa even if he has the money because it's exclusive list? What kind of madness says Sanwo-Olu cannot organize to bring light to Lagos because he's on an exclusive list? But that law still says you would take these people's money and you redistribute it. So you can see that the more we go into this Nigeria, the more we lose our identity and the more we become slaves. We become like, you become like the wife of a narcissist. A narcissist is someone that is destroying you mentally, fucking you up, excuse my language, messing you up physically in every way, but still making you guilty because you're saying, enough is enough. Otoge, mi ò lè wá kú. So this is what we need to ponder off. We're not mad people. We're not crazy people. We've looked at it from all angles. But when you hear someone like D talking, you hear someone like me talking, you hear someone like Otumba talking, you know that it's not a bunch of rascals talking. So for people to have come to this stage, they've thought of a lot of things true. But this is now my own suggestion and I'm rounding up. Not as I'm not speaking on behalf of the group I represent, but I'm speaking of my own view. If you feel like you want to participate in elections, you can go ahead and do it. We just don't believe in it as a way forward, but nobody is stopping anybody from doing it. Why? Because it doesn't stop you from learning from whatever it is and then coming back after 2023. In fact, I am looking forward to a very strong agitation after that because you see, all these McNoon, all these guys, they will all come and on board when they serve them their breakfast. So that's why it seems like I'm kind of getting friendly towards them so that we won't do that or be eating to them. They'll be able to say, you guys said so. So I would say participate in elections. You don't argue with us about why we need to see it from your view. We will respect your right to do that. And whatever happens at that, we'll be here to discuss again. Hopefully, we are hoping that the best will happen before that time. And with that, I yield the mic. Thank you very much.
Quickly before you yield, Bunka, you mentioned a lot of things
Yes,
that
Mr. Cow.
the late sage said. So you didn't mention anything. Me, I will speak for Buhari. In 2015, Buhari too said that if I don't rule Nigeria, the baboon and the what will be covered in blood. Does that sound familiar to what we have today? Thank you.
Thank you so much, number one citizen of Nigeria, Fulani Cow. Thank you. All right. Please flash your mic if you've got any submission to make. My brother, befitting.
Sir, ẹ má jẹ́ ń tàn yín o, mi ì lọ́rọ̀ tí mo fẹ́ sọ torí kò sí nǹkan tá a fẹ́ dúpẹ́ fún, ẹ má bínú. Mi kàn fẹ́ wà pessimistic ni o, kò sí ni o. So àfi tá a bá kàn fẹ́ máa ránra wa létí gbogbo ìbànújẹ́ tó wà ń bẹ̀ ni. Mi kò sí nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ sọ tó ń múnú mi dùn náà nípa Nàìjíríà yẹn, ẹ má jẹ́ ń tàn yín.
Ó dáa.
Ẹ jẹ́ kí rest.
Ok, ó dáa bàbá mi, ó dáa. Ọmọ bàbá mi alárẹ̀mú.
àbí mò ń dá yín lóhùn, ṣé ń gbọ́ mi? Mò ń jọkà lọ́wọ́ ni.
Ó yẹ ìjọkà yín tán kẹ́ ẹ wá bá wa sọ̀rọ̀.
Mo ní kí n jọkà kí n fi pàrọ̀nù rẹ́.
Ó dáa. Okay, Mr. Taiwo. After Mr. Taiwo, my sister Adedoyin will go. Mr. Taiwo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the submissions, Mr. D, Mr. Gbonka. Thank you. Of course, nothing much to say other than to say that it's very, very unfortunate that Buhari today, has reinforced failure. At least maybe by just saying something good today, maybe we'll even be thankful. And those that still have elements of fixing this country will be more hopeful. Mr. Bunga was just reading about what the sage said about education. And you look at the speech, the 101 paragraph speech, and Buhari did not talk about education. So where is this country going without education? So Buhari and his cohort do not know that no country can go above its education. Instead, he was talking about Twitter ban. Independence Day is supposed to be for fundamental discussion. For those that will understand, let me call it meta discourse. Those are the things that should be contained in such a speech of such importance. Not talking about Twitter ban. Don't we no longer have a minister of information who has been handling it, whatever anyhow, and then nothing substantial, and then he was also contradicting himself, talking about we want dialogue, they should come to dialogue, and then also saying the unity of the country is not negotiable. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, unfortunately, Buhari reinforced failure today. What to be thankful for? Of course, I don't know. But within this 1 year, of course, no, but of course, we are here and we can reflect about the way forward. Maybe that's the only thing we can be thankful for. We are still here on this app, and maybe some people physically to appreciate the challenges and to reflect about possibilities ahead. Thank you. I'm Taiwo. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Taiwo. My sister Adedoyin, please go ahead.
Thank you, thank you. I really enjoy your talk, Dee and Bonka. I always love hearing you speak. So this might be a stupid question, but I'm gonna ask anyways. Um, but I understand the people that believe like one Nigeria. I understand they have a vested interest. They have some kind of investments or something. But for those that feel that restructuring could work, can you help me understand why restructuring would not work? I mean, do we still have that 214 Senate members? Does that also affect us if we restructure? Can restructure make, do we have control of our borders if we're restructured? Do we have control of our VAT if we are restructured? Or is there no solution if we restructure Nigeria? Are we still going to be in the same boat that we're in right now?
All right, thank you so much. Dee, would you like to take that question?
Yes, thank you very much. You see, a lot of people do understand that the only thing that is keeping the North and the South together as one Nigeria is the benefit that accrues to the North from the South. Or in other words, the only reason why you keep an infidel as a neighbor is the fact that the neighbor mows your lawn, prepares your breakfast, prepares your lunch, and prepares your dinner, and even takes care of your children, bathes them, and tucks them into bed. We are fundamentally different people. So for us to even be in the same country, when one section of the country passed Sharia into law, and the other section of the country is practicing secularism, beer drinking, pork eating, loud music playing, people who are dancing soapy up and down the states of Lagos. The only reason why you are in conjunction with these people is because of the benefit they get from you. It's because of the taxes and resources they pull from you. So therefore, the moment you achieve any kind of restructuring, be rest assured that they will walk away from the union. That is number one. Number two, there is a gridlock. There is a ceiling you cannot exceed. The vital vote required to restructure this country can never be achieved in the South, even if all the South speaks with one voice. So therefore, they cannot achieve any kind of headway. But peradventure you restructure, would you be in control of your border? Yes. Can you enforce it into law that everything that comes into the Yoruba nation becomes property of the Southwestern or Yoruba people? Yes, you can. You can pass laws for better policing. You can pass laws for fiscal federalism. You can start to do interstate roads that will be taxed. You can have the Lagos Ogun Electricity Commission Board, whereby the electrical plants will be sited in Ogun State and it will be deployed down to Lagos. You can disenfranchise Lagos. And these things we are talking about are things that can solve the electricity problem for Lagos State, which is approximately a demand of 20,000 to about 27 or 28,000 demand in less than 2 years. So these are the solutions they don't talk about, because they know that if they start to talk about it, it could lead to the end of the country. The question to you is, once we restructure, you start to have higher taxes on certain regions, and then those citizens will start to see dividends of democracy. Those citizens will start to ask for a different currency of trade. One of the things that also binds us with the North is currency of trade. You have to look at it from that perspective, that your GDP will start to grow. So you cannot carry anybody in handicap when it comes to currency, when it comes to the trading, exchange rate, and a balance of trade. If the Southwest is exporting more, for instance, they should start to see changes in the trading currency of the Fadaka to a Naira, so to a dollar. So therefore, there will be no incentive for Southwesterners to use the Naira to trade when the Fadaka is a stronger currency.
No,
So
wúrà
these
ni
are...
o. Wúrà ni o.
Sorry, what did you say?
Wúrà ni o, kò ń ṣe fàdákà.
Okay, Wura, exactly. So for me, I just wanted us to understand that the question of restructuring the country, would it solve a lot of problems? Yes. Does it mean that the only condition for restructuring is, and I hate to do this because this is not, but the only person that understood the kind of restructuring that can prosper this nation is the Aburi Accord, where Ojukwu said that the center cannot intervene in the regions. Let the region take control of their destiny, their resources. If you have, for example, I'll tell you something now. One of the benefits of having a Yoruba nation is the export potential for fish and fishing industries. If you've ever observed, why is it that almost all the advanced or medium countries who have a coastal line have a very massive trade export for fish? They export fish to other countries. Nigeria is the only country, go and do your research, the only country in the world that has such a wide coastal region and is a net importer of fish. These are complex ironies, and the only reason is because that your fishing industry has been systematically destroyed by the exclusive list, by things like you cannot put your boat beyond a certain kilometer in the waterways, by saying that the waterways belongs to the center. All these are barbaric policies that have continued to negate foreign direct investment in that in particular industry. We are supposed to be the Yoruba nation, the Ijaw, the Niger Delta people. They are supposed to be net exporters of fish, not net importers of fish. Go and check it. We are the largest fish importers in Africa. So these are paradox of many failures. So
The
restructuring will begin to address those failures. Sorry.
I take God name beg you. Someone told me to come my fish importation. Please, don't go and close it for me. I take God name beg you.
Unfortunately,
Suppression.
Damilola, the Yoruba nation, irrespective of your business will thrive. The reason why it cannot thrive now is the structure. Everybody, all your investment plans for Yoruba nation, whether it is discussed positively by maybe, let's say, like the Yoruba nation administration are talking about trade incentives that will further creation of jobs, will further foreign direct investment in the region, and you are looking at it from the angle of, I'm a businessman, I want to come and invest. We are looking at it from two sides, but essentially it's the same coin, because we're talking about opportunities to grow both taxes and revenue for the state on one hand and create jobs. These are the parameters upon which foreign governors, foreign presidents, foreign prime ministers are evaluated. But in Nigeria, the only way you are evaluated is, were you able to hold it for 8 years? Were you able to make sure that the unity was not destroyed for 8 years? That is all they care about, the unity. All the resources in the Niger Delta, you don't know what they are missing. Those people had been destroyed. There are so many things that are destroyed in the Niger Delta that we cannot even talk about. That place is supposed to be a net exporter of gas for production of electricity for not just Africa, for not just southwest or south or southeast, but even it's supposed to export it as far as Mauritania. That is the kind of gas reserves that the South is sitting on. So I would like to just focus on the potentials for Yoruba Nation. The potentials are tremendous. But what the economic indicators say clearly is that the Lagos model can be replicated across several southwestern states. There will be better taxation, but there will be better utility of the taxation. There will be more physical infrastructure, more road development, more bridges built with taxpayers' money, more jobs created, more education policy reforms that will favor the people. Look at what Lagos State Employee Trust Fund is trying to do. Those are some of the things that will be achievable in a Yoruba nation. But the current challenges we have is that we have a maximum we can grow at, and that is the challenge that restructuring would look to resolve or balkanization will look to deliver. I hope I've been able to answer your question a bit. I yield the mic.
Sorry,
Can
quick
I?
one. Is it not Wura and Fadaka, or is it just Wura alone?
I was just kidding, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Otuba,
it doesn't really matter at this point. Yeah.
can I help Adedoyin in one statement she made? I would like to
All right.
correct. Yeah,
Go ahead.
just one. Adedoyin, you said, or if I heard you clearly, you said the people that want one Nigeria is because of their investment. Right? That's what you said, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I
Let me
wrong?
tell let me tell you something. No, I hate telling people that they're wrong. You are right, but I just want to enlighten you a little bit. Most people that want one Nigeria is not necessarily because of their investment. Because even if Nigeria divides, your investment will be where it is. If you are investing in the northern part of Nigeria, it will be that your investment is in Arewa land, and if you are investing in western part, it will be that your investment is in Odua land. The problem about that the people of one Nigeria have is the fear of the unknown, fear of the uncertainty of and emotional attachment to the land, Nigeria. That is all. That is just it. The fear for change is pretty much the reason. Thank you.
Otunba, are you there?
Yes, sorry.
Yes, please. I actually just want to address something that Damlola just said.
All right, go ahead, Ononto.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
So I think it is Adedoyin or Adiola that made the question about the interest about those who want one Nigeria. And then I think Damlola was trying to provide the perspective that it is because of the fear of the unknown. Well, I beg to differ, Damlola. I think the lady was actually very, very right. There are several people that have investment in the north. And then if we balkanize Nigeria today, yes, their investments are still there, but do they have access to it? I doubt no. I don't think so. I'll give you an example. After the Civil War, what happened to the buildings that were owned by the Louis Ojukus and the big Igbo men of those days that were in the north? What happened to the monies in the bank? It all went away. Everybody was giving £20. So it's because some people have big industries in Kano, in Jigawa, in Zamfara. So I think that is where she's trying to come from. Yes, people have fear of unknown, but we cannot necessarily, dismiss what she just said. I just said, let me add that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chief.
Can I
Onoti.
say something, please?
Okay, so after you,
All
I'll
right.
give a different perspective
Yeah,
Okay.
about explaining what happens after balkanization. I'll explain that from an industrial perspective, and
yeah,
I'll give a bit of data. So I'll yield. Thank you, Jaguar. I'll go.
yeah.
All right.
Onoti.
Thank you. So
Sorry,
what I wanted to say is that
Jaguar, 1 second. No, verse, because Onoti, oh, he has left. Okay, you can say what you want to say. He has left.
You said what?
I said he has left. To you can say what you can continue.
Okay. Wow. I don't know why the guy left. But yeah, what she said is, it makes a lot of sense. We need to listen to each other's concerns and all that. But the fact is, because it's just like saying a Igbo person have business in Yoruba land, and if Nigeria gets vulcanized, the business is gone. There's nothing like that. Because even Nigerians, we have businesses in other countries, so it's the same thing, right? So we will not say because 10 people, 10 Yoruba people have business in Kano. Because of those 10 people, 10 million people will now suffer in Yoruba land because of that. It doesn't make sense, right? But
Exactly.
we also have to put those people that have business in Kaduna into context that, okay, if Nigeria gets broken into pieces, what's going to happen to their business? So their business is going to remain there. They can travel, take visa or whatever and go there and do their business. Because some of us that are asking for this, we have business all over the place, right? So it's a very good question to ask and something to discuss about. But because of that, we'll now say, oh no, people should continue to suffer and they should continue killing people, our people. It doesn't make any sense. That's very selfish, right? So that's all I have to say.
Before Babadi continues, I would like us to pray for Buka, because what he read for us, I never knew about it. I never knew those words were said by Papa Olo. Like, let's bless our brother here. Every day he comes here and he gives us facts. Meanwhile, there are people that want to be dragging him. And I've said it over and over again. If you think he is wrong, bring your own facts and we compare and contrast. Buka, at that point.
Ashe,
Hi.
Bonka of a shop anyway.
Amio Jesu. Can I just add a different perspective, Otumba? Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Sherry, ẹ jẹ́ ká má purọ́ fúnra wa. Having an investment in a country is just foreign direct investment. That's all. One of the biggest banks in terms of banking activities in Gambia, where they have a lot of, private sector people. I think it's GT. They even have insurance, IGI. It doesn't mean that the Nigerians control that space. And it doesn't mean that Nigerians will not still have influence in that space. Let me tell you something. In the 18 let me do it Bonka style. In 1882, the United States passed a law called the Gary Act to exclude the Chinese from being allowed to become US citizens. Go and read about the Gary Act. Despite the fact that these Chinese people had been there for more than 50 years and they connected the East Coast with the West Coast, what you have in present-day United States were almost two separate islands. And it was the Chinese Industrial Revolution with trains, with massive labor exploitation. We're talking people that work for $2, $3 an hour, when the what do you call the average wage was around maybe 6, 7. Those guys connected the East Coast and the West Coast under the impression that if you work hard, you do everything, you live the American dream. They still passed it into law to say that these people cannot be part of Americans. But today, China is the single Chinese country, is the single largest holder of United States Treasury bills. So if you go into Canada, a place there's Alberta. In Alberta, all the top real estate of choices today are controlled by the Chinese. If you go into some places in France, some of their top real estate locations are controlled by the Saudis. It doesn't now make the Saudis automatic citizens of France, or in fact, I think it's like 60,000 H-1B visas that can be issued a year for Chinese Americans to come and work in Silicon Valley. It's about 60,000. What am I trying to tell you? The mere fact that you have another investment in northern Nigeria does not necessarily tie the destinies of the Yorubas to the north because of your investment. It is all mutually exclusive. Everybody has investment everywhere. The only thing that will change is that your business advisor will now tell you that instead of saying that you have 100% of your business in Nigeria, they will now tell you that you have 40% of your investment in the west, 20% in the east, 40% in the north. That is all. That is all that will change. And the way you have businessmen that are from northern extraction, that have businesses all over the country, it's the same we have Westerners who are Western people who have business investments all over the country. So the same way Northerners say they have investments in Lagos or west of Nigeria, is the same way Yorubas like Otedola will say they have filling stations in the north, or Adenuga will say he has cell towers in the north, he has corn oil filling stations in the north. That is the way it works. The same way everybody has interest everywhere. So when the country is balkanized, it's just about taking a percentage of, if you are, for example, an Igbo man who resides in Southeast, for instance, then you will now say that 90% of your business is in foreign country or in a foreign location, and 10% is in the home location. How much value will you lose if we don't fight? If we agree everything by referendum, by restructuring, and it's not by war, how much loss can really happen? If they take the businesses of northerners, or they take the businesses of southerners that are in the north and they nationalize it, then the south will respond in kind by taking the businesses that belong to northerners in the south and nationalize it. And then at the end of the day, we'll now ask ourselves, is Dangote a northerner or a southerner? Is a northerner, does he have significant investments in the south? Yes, it does. If we nationalize Dangote cement, would the South be richer? Yes, we'll be. Would the North be poorer? Yes, they will be. Does it make sense for the North to treat the Southwesterners with caution when it comes to the asset they have in the North? Of course. Of course. Same thing for the guy that has sugar. Same thing for the guy that has oil wells. If they treat the people in the North anyhow, Oga, your oil well has expired. Come to Anyoma land, come to Bibio land, come and renew that oil well so that we will talk. I will remind you about the businesses in the north that you destroyed. It is mutual. It is mutual destruction. So we either destroy everything or we agree on paper to build everything. Same thing. People tell you that we can never divide Nigeria. We are too much in debt. We are too much in debt. It's not possible. How will we share the debt? Will debit everybody's account? It's just nonsense. It's just nonsense propaganda to make you afraid. There's no such thing as that. It doesn't require the Chinese brain or the Russian brain to share Nigeria's assets. All the assets are located at locations. Just get the finance managers involved. They will tell you what belongs to who. Once you have all the assets and you have all the liability, you divide it. The gold of Zamfara can never belong to Lagos. Similarly, the port of Lagos can never belong to a northerner. No matter how much the current MPA chairman is from the north, that's their personal problem. The oil that is in Anangam Ibibio land, how can it belong to a northerner? It's not possible. Similarly, a southerner cannot go and claim the granite pyramids of the north. It doesn't make any sense. So if you have, in my own opinion, any fears, it is just because of the propaganda that is being displayed that it is either that balkanizing Nigeria would always happen by war. And the reason why it will happen by war is because the black man doesn't have sense and the white man has sense. The black man is inferior. That is why the white people will balkanize Europe and United Kingdom. And they will do it by Brexit, by simple votes. And after they achieved Brexit, the British people moved on with their lives. The European people moved on with their lives. The British people stopped spending euros and they started spending their currency, the pounds, whereas the European Union continued spending their euros. Same thing will happen in Nigeria. It's either the South to take the Naira and adopt it, or everybody will create their own currencies and transition over a 3-year period. And once the transition is done, it's done. How many times have we printed new currencies? Did we end the world? There was a time everybody used 50 naira and 20 naira. Today, 50 naira and 20 naira has no value. You can't buy Gogo, can't buy TomTom, nothing. If you want to enter Okada anywhere in some places in the south, it's 100 naira. I yield the mic.
All right, thank you so much. A lot has been said. Nigeria at 61. anything to be thankful for, anything to celebrate. Let us have your views, your opinions on that. Mr. Ahmed, please go ahead. You can have the floor.
Um, Good evening, Nigerians, friends. I think uh, we have a lot to thank for. Gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ọpẹ́ náà ni. We just have to thank God for everything that we have. We have a country of our own. Um, Many of you in the house will know better than I am. I'm a student of history. I'm still learning, and if you compare Nigeria with countries like Ethiopia, Congo, these countries I've mentioned, Zaire, they are better placed than Nigeria in terms of resources, far better in terms of resources. But where are they today? Because of some of the challenges we are facing now, they are not able to manage as we are. And Zaire has changed name maybe twice after then. And, still war every time. They have gold in abundance, diamond, tantalite, they have crude oil. They've not even touched it. They have a lot of resources. So we should thank God for what we have. We have a country of ours. We are still the most populous country in Africa, the biggest economy. A lot of things that we can thank God for. Yes, that's the truth. And I
Please,
will salute the courage. I
Mr.
salute
Ahmed,
the courage.
I really wanted you to continue, but please just give me a minute.
Go
So
ahead.
I want to name them one after the other. Uh, you wanted us to be thankful for being the most populous country in Africa, and because we still have everything. Please, what are those everything?
Okay. That's one of the things we need to appreciate. A bit 300 or 250 tribes, speaking 250 or 300 tribes. Which one of them? I can't recollect. But we have so much diversity
Okay,
in
Ahmed,
Nigeria.
please.
Ẹgbóhùn sókè mi ò gbọ́ yín o.
Please, guys, please wait. Ahmed, I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
With due respect, I think you need to listen to people speak. And
I've listened to what people are saying, and one thing you also need to learn is we also need to appreciate their diverse view. We are all young. I appreciate what everybody is saying. Yes, things are not working. That's the truth. But even at that point, we still need to know that some of us who work in corporate sector, they'll say if you want to do reviews, you start with what is working before you talk about what is not working.
okay,
So you don't condemn the whole system.
you are right.
Yes.
I don't want us to get into any misunderstanding. Far from it, okay? But I just want you to, I really would like to know, you know, those things. Don't be generic. Please be specific as much as possible. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So if depending on the tenure or the lifespan you want to use, the 61 years or the Buhari regime, whichever one, one of the things personally that I felt is still working is that we still have a country that we call Nigeria. It's a mirage that we have that we are still having Nigeria. We've had many postulations by many people across the world that Nigeria should have splitted many times ago, and that we still have a country of our that we are still not at war, full-fledged war, because people will still say we are at war. Is a mirage. This morning, I woke up in Kaduna this morning, went to Abuja. I'm in Lagos as I speak now. Sometimes it takes us traveling around Nigeria or around Africa to have things we have. Um, to appreciate what we have. So I know we have a lot of negative things, but seriously, we have a lot of positive things, and that's my take. I may be wrong from your own view, but I want us to appreciate some things. It's not always the way we see it from outside. I'm a Yoruba man, but I'm just free to be a Yoruba man from the north. I'm a Yoruba man from the north. I'm quoting Senator Smart Adeyemi, when he went to the last delegate conference organized by Jonathan. He said, I'm a Yoruba man from the north, because geographically I'm from the north, but politically, culturally rather, I'm from the west because I speak the language and culture. But the reality as of today is that we have an heterogeneous we call Nigeria. But my belief is that we can still have one single Nigeria where we all complement each other. The Igbos have a lot of strength, the Yorubas have their strength, the Hausas also have their own strength. And the strength of Hausa is not just the population. No. In reality, I've seen a lot of documents around. If you look at the resources they have in the north in terms of minerals, it's huge. Gold, tantalite, iron ore, and of course, forget that in terms of um, land, good arable land for agriculture. Again, the people, if well harnessed, it's a huge opportunity. The whole of Africa in terms of the opportunity we have there. The North is not getting it right. Yes, that's the truth. But the question I ask ourselves is, let's ask ourselves the truth: is Yoruba nation getting it asked well, or the East? We are all in the mess. The politicians use us for each other. And one of the things I see that I'm happy when I come to Clubhouse is I see youth talking facts, ready to change the narrative. And then I've seen a lot of people actually driving that change themselves. But in reality, it's not like that. So, for example, now, D was talking about VAT earlier on. Yeah, I appreciate that, but it's not always like that. And I give an example. Last time I was in South Africa, I bought a couple of things. Everything that I did not consume in South Africa, when I got to the airport, I was refunded the VAT I paid for everything that I bought in. I was refunded in the VAT. They gave me an ATM card at the airport, and then they calculated all the VAT and they gave it back to me. Now, if you apply that, what it means is that yes, Lagos consent or jar about, but all the money will not go to Lagos because the consumption in Lagos. I work in multinational company, and what we do is this: when we produce in Nigeria and we need to sell the product abroad, we don't charge VAT. We only charge 6% to cover some cost plus 6%. That's what we charge when we do intra-company within the company. And when they produce in America, sending to Nigeria, they also do the same thing. Their own cost plus 6%. Nobody charge VAT. So if Lagos produce and it's consumed there, then the VAT will not be in Lagos because the consumption does not happen here. I may be wrong, but I'm
I
seeing
don't,
this model.
Mr.
I'm
Ned,
just
I
saying
don't
it.
get, I don't get what you are saying. You said if the Lagos produce and it is consumed in Lagos, Lagos cannot charge VAT. Is that
No,
what
no, no,
you're
no, no,
saying?
no, 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 no,
No,
no. That's not what I'm
I
saying.
was even going to add to
No,
that. I thought
no,
the
no, no.
question was to tell us about what is working about Nigeria. All I've been hearing is the North has gold and has blah blah blah. If well harnessed, I really don't
So
understand my business with if well harnessed. It has never been harnessed. It will never be harnessed.
it has,
That's my
bro.
line of thought.
Bro, it has been
We
announced.
are talking
Let's
about
be
PhD.
realistic. Let's be realistic. Before 1960, the North was contributing so much to the Federation than the East
That's a
and the South
pure
South.
lie. That's
That's
a
a
pure
lie,
lie.
Guys,
huge lie, and
guys.
you can
Bring
state
the
your fact
data.
and let's break it.
Yes, yes. So
So the
Ahmed,
North, as
Mr.
at
Ahmed, Mr. Ahmed,
pre-independence, the North was
please
not contributing to Nigeria.
wait, Mr.
It
Ahmed,
has always been a parasite.
No, you
Mr.
said
Ahmed.
It has not
not
always been a
North was
parasite.
contributing more.
Olofamojo,
Yes,
Olofamojo,
it
please.
was more than
Let's
the
Ahmed,
East.
please
engage
wait.
him. Let him
We are
It was
going
speak.
to
We'll
it,
respect.
engage him.
it, it,
Let him
it
wrap
was
up.
contributing more than the East South.
Yes, let him
Probably
wrap up.
West is contributing
Ahmed,
more. From the
Ahmed,
record
please
I have.
wrap up.
So okay,
Ahmed,
so for me,
Please
I
share
just
that
wanted
Guys,
to.
mute
record.
your
I'm just.
mic
Share that
now.
I'm,
Mute
record.
your mic.
sorry, please. I will be running up in 30 seconds.
all right, thank you.
Looking at the topic once again, I think the fact that we still have a country is something to be thankful for. It's so minute, but it's something big. And looking at the experiences of countries like USSR, Congo, and some of them who are at war. Ethiopia is still there. Ethiopia has never been colonized, but they are at war within themselves, and they have how many ethnic groups. So for me, those small things, I say you need to. the fact that we still have a country is still something to be thankful for. And the fact that we are completely different within Nigerian space. Yoruba is different from Igbo and Hausa, and which means a huge opportunity for us to learn from ourselves in terms of strength. And this has been happening.
All right, thank
The Hausa, this is not the same Hausa of 20, 40 years ago. They've been learning. This is not the same Igbo. This is not the
Can
same
we
And they
Yoruba.
are
ask you
They've been
killing
learning
question,
and
how
they are
to.
please?
killing people up and down. They've been learning
please
and they are killing
now.
people.
Fulani cow.
So,
This
well,
this number
that,
one citizen.
my understanding. I may be wrong, like I said, but I believe
All right,
we have a lot of things to be thankful for. And
all
of
right,
course,
thank you.
some of the things that divide us are also some of the
Mention
things
three
that should
things
unite
that
us.
we need to be thankful of. Three things,
I've
Ahmed.
said it. The fact number one is the fact that we still have a country. That's
What
number
kind
one.
of
It's so simple.
orientation is thinking because we have a country? Are we not supposed to have a country in the first place?
Can I engage Ahmed? You said two things, so I'll help you because I believe that one of the advantages of coming into Yoruba Nation is that you will learn something. You will always learn something. We are so desperate to pass out correct facts that sometimes we always don't want to even leave anybody who is not, I have the opportunity to learn. To learn. The first thing you said was that taxis are what did they call it? Are supposed to be. I don't know what point you were trying to make.
That's the clarification I was trying to get to
That
before
that
you
that
jump
whole
ahead
that,
of me.
that
That well, please, D, I'll beg your this thing. Please. I want Hamed to repeat that illustration of how VAT is supposed to be charged so that we can understand what he's saying
Mr.
because
Fulani cow.
Thank you
Tabafi.
very, thank you
Mr.
very
Ahmed,
much.
please. Mr. Ahmed, please wait. Mr. Ahmed.
Okay.
Mr. Ahmed, please wait. I beg you. I beg you, Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Fulani cow, please now.
okay, all right, let's move
Mr. D, please continue.
Thank you very much. So I don't know which teaching you such tax policies. In Arkansas, the total taxes, including local sales tax, is 11.625%. So Arkansas has 6.5% VAT. Then they call it base sales tax. In Connecticut, it's 6.35. In California, it's 7.25. So no progressive nation will charge the same VAT rate for all the states and then punish the states or citizens that are paying consumption taxes in one state and taking their VAT to the other state. The policies that you use to run a private organization are different from economic policies that runs a nation, because the nation is built on principles. A private institution can be set for several goals, including profitability. It might be because your company wants to practice the principle of profitability, for instance, that will let them not charge intra-company goods, because at the end of the day, the company is still paying for it. So let us not compare the way we run Ahmad and Fulani Nigeria Limited with the way we will run Nigeria as a country. Different states have different VATs. VAT is a consumption tax. The states that generate the consumption tax, they use the VAT to pay for social amenities or social infrastructure on behalf of the consumer. So therefore, you are consuming alcohol in the south, your alcohol VAT will be used to build hospitals, so that when you fall ill from maybe excess alcohol consumption, there will be hospitals to treat you. That is the principle of governance in terms of accountability, the social contract that justifies collection of taxes. So don't ever get it wrong. The second narrative is this narrative that people like to say, that the South or the East or the West was contributing more revenue than, and they were the ones that were sponsoring us from independence or whatever. There are several economic reviews that have been done. But if you look at the annual abstract of statistics for 1963, where we talk about the revenues that were derived from each region and reallocated back to the regions. So the total revenue that was derived in 1953 from all the regions of Nigeria, it is called, and I've PTR'd it because I don't just like to tell people about, I PTR my data. It says that the report also recommended that regions will have control of their taxes. So the revenue that was allocated back to the regions based on what was appropriated, exploited by the colonialists on behalf of Nigeria. So they returned the money back to the region because by McPherson Constitution, we're now operating a regional system of government. So it was no longer direct. Nigeria earned 16 million pounds in 1953. They said Nigeria earned 16 million pounds in 1953, but they allocated the resources back to each region based on what they earned. You will see it from that table clearly, very, very clearly, in black and white, that at no point in time except in 1953 did the North contribute more than the Western region. So there were 3 regions. In 1953, before the beginning, it was 5-7-4, west, north, east. 5 from the west, 7 from the north, and 4 from the east. By 1954, it was 5-4-4, west 5 million pounds. So it's 5,590,000 pounds, right? So I'm just using this so that I can move through the data much faster, but I pity out my data source. In 1955, it was 11,680. So the Eastern region generated 8.3 million pounds. So they beat the Northern region of 6.9 million pounds. So don't you say to an Easterner that in 1955 his region did not contribute more than the North. You are being disingenuous with your information, and that is unfair. In 1956, 10,500,000, the total revenue generated by the Federation of Nigeria was 23,969,000. 10 million was generated from the Western region, 6.7 from the Northern region, and 6.6 from the Eastern region. In 1957, 11.4 was generated by the Western region, 7.8 was generated by the Northern region, and 6.9 was generated by the Eastern region. In 1958, 12.3 was generated by the Western region, 7.8 was generated by the Northern region, and 7 was generated by the Eastern region. In 1959, 13.4 was generated by the Western region, 8.1 was generated by the Northern region, and 7.4 was generated by the Eastern region. By the way, you said you are from Kwara or Kogi, you are Western region. In 1960, 35 million pounds was the federal revenue allocated back to the regions based on the principles of derivation. 15.2 was generated by the Western region, 11.3 was generated by the Northern region, and 9.3 was generated by the Eastern region. So please, at no point in recorded, and that is one thing about numbers. You see, my feelings and your feelings can change across the timeline. But our revenue is constant in numbers because that is what it is. It doesn't change. It cannot be altered by our emotions. So the revenues that were generated and reallocated back to the regions is in black and white. No emotion can change it. And I would like to end this conclusion by telling you that volume is not quality. So therefore, if somebody value of 500 of groundnut is the same value as 2 trucks of palm oil, the mere fact that somebody exported does not mean that they were feeding you, because the person that exported just 2 trucks of palm oil earned the same revenue as the person that exported 500 trucks of groundnut. So when people try and tell you that we were feeding you, please tell them how. Is it by volume or is it by the actual revenue? Volume, they can be very correct. A lot of agricultural activities are very voluminous. The day when it comes to brass tacks, how much was earned? How much was earned? That is what matters. That is exactly what matters. And then there's also that people like to say, and we have done it in Yoruba Nation like 100,000 times. And I think at this minute, but I'll do it one last time for you, just compliments of you. I'm going to tell you 6 states and countries, and I'm going to tell you their population. And then this same GDP to say that Nigeria has the biggest GDP in Africa or the biggest population in Africa. Economists do not countries by GDP only. We compare countries by GDP per capita to say what was the total population, what did they earn. That is why you, if you are going to be very honest with yourself, I'm going to ask countries, would you decline their permanent citizenship for Nigeria, United States, Spain,
Yes. Yes.
Sweden,
Yes.
Switzerland,
Yes.
Africa. Well, I don't believe
Yes.
that answer, but I would like to compare
So
it
the
for you
question
by
is
telling
this.
you.
So, hello, D. I agree with you for the fact that
Wait,
Ahmed,
wait,
let
honestly,
him
Ahmed, wait,
finish.
wait.
Let
Let
me finish. Let me
Ahmed,
finish,
wait.
please. South Africa, they earned a GDP of 283 billion. 283 billion. Nigeria has a GDP of 432 billion. So if you look at it in just by, we think that Nigeria has a bigger GDP than South Africa, right? Wrong. Absolutely wrong. And that is why South Africa will continue to attract more foreign direct investment of about billion pounds to Nigeria's 2.4 billion dollars. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. Because Nigeria has a population of 200 million and South Africa has a population of 58 million. So 58 million generated 283 billion. If they double that up about 100 million approximately, they will beat your GDP of 200 million. So Ireland of 390 billion, Nigeria has a GDP of 432 billion. Yet a population of 5 million. 5 million, less than 50% of Lagos. Is the total GDP of Ireland 390 billion, not better than the GDP of 92 billion. That has a population of 200 million. This is brass tacks. Population of 9 million. Nigeria has a population of 200 million. Yet a Nigerian to be a Nigerian than to be a Swiss citizen, and Switzerland had a GDP of 703 billion with 9 million in population. No be quality, it's quality that matters. Nobody values economies by quantity. They value economy by quality. Sweden has a 10 million population. Their GDP is about 100 billion area, 529 billion GDP. Nigeria has 432 billion GDP. Don't forget that Sweden has 10 million in population. Nigeria has 190 million more. So can you come here and beat your chest and say that Nigeria is better than Sweden? No. A population of 47 million. GDP of 1.3 trillion. Nigeria has a population of 200 million and has a GDP that is less than if you divide Spain's GDP into, even up to, is more than that of Nigeria. New York, a single state in the United States, New York has a GDP of 884 billion. That is 2 times the GDP of Nigeria. New York has a population of 8.2 million. Nigeria has a population of 200 million. So my friend, what are you looking at? Who is teaching you that economics? That is very, very bad. Don't hide. We have our strengths and we have our weaknesses. Our population is our weakness. And it's also our weakness. It's a shame. Well, for that population, we should not be having an economy that small. I told you, if you just before you speak, just think about it very well. Ireland has a population of 5 million, and they have a GDP that is 390 billion. Everything I'm saying, you can Google it. It's not rocket science, it's just the facts. That is how countries compare each other. So the Irishman GDP of 390 billion. Then the Nigerian man has a GDP of 432 billion. You tell yourself that the Irish man is lesser than the Nigerian man, despite the fact that it for 390 billion generated by 5 million people, whilst our 432 billion was generated by 200 million people. Come on. If we're going to lie for externals, should we also lie ourselves? I'll yield the mic.
Thank you, D. Very much.
Thank you.
Otumba, can I quickly say something, please?
Yeah, Omobaba was also flashing his mic. After Omobaba, Mr. Fulani, Cow, and after that, Olofamojo and your papa. Omobaba, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I mean, I was just gonna even start with, the rhetoric about being grateful for having a country. I personally don't refer myself to a Nigerian anymore because there's just no point. I've thrown away that identity. I can only probably just say it if I'm only going through their airport or whatnot. But the main reason there is that we already know that this place was designed, just to milk it and just bastardize everything. It's mainly purely for political gains.
And for anybody to now come and say, oh, this shackles is my identity, or we should be grateful to have these shackles on my neck and on my legs, you know, to be something to be grateful for. I see that as just an insult. You know, I see it as a complete insult. A few people have told me today they are happy independence. What independence are you happy about? What's there to be happy about? You are suffering, you are smiling. You have been doing this for 61 years. It's completely pointless. And now trying to say we are celebrating population. What has the population given us? A dumping ground for the colonial masters to come and sell their whatever they have to sell and milk out the best of them to come and work in their foreign countries. What else? And leaving the baggages for the people left there to fight themselves. All the people in the politician the offices, they're just making the best out of it, just making money and sending their children abroad. You are saying like, oh yeah, you don't want to go to Sweden, you don't want to go to Norway or Denmark, all those rich countries. Is there nowhere Buhari are sending his children? Tinubu's children are they home? Even if they are home, they are just there, sneaking in and out, taking money abroad, buying and flexing everywhere. You know, nobody will sit down there and say, "Oh yeah, I know you probably didn't say like, oh yeah, I love the way he is," but saying like, "Oh, I wouldn't want to leave the place. I wouldn't believe that," from for anything. But the whole point there is it's absolutely nothing to be. I mean, you can probably say, yeah, thankful. You can be thankful that you're not dead yet. Yes, I can understand that. You can be thankful like, oh, maybe they've not kidnapped you yet. Yes, you can be thankful for that. But saying, yeah, we thank you too, thankful we have a country. I think that is just a no-no. Shouldn't be coming out from anyone. I'm not expecting anybody to be saying that in that country today. But there will be some fools that are cutting cake anyway. But yeah, I'll keep mine short.
All right, thank you. Number one citizen of Nigeria, Fulani cow.
If there's anybody that's supposed to be grateful for Nigeria, I'm the person. Because in 2021, I can't believe that there will be any country, and I repeat again, there is no country that is so concerned about my welfare than Nigeria. No country is talking about open grazing in 2021. Only Nigeria is talking about open grazing. That shows how much Nigeria cares for me, a Fulani cow, more than even its citizens. Nigeria is not talking about any welfare program for its citizens. But the president is talking about open grazing. That's by the way. So two things. My brother Ahmed, I'm happy you are a Yoruba man because I would have found it difficult to talk to you if you are probably an Hausa man or a Fulani man. So at least we have that connection point where I would kind of highlight. I'm just trying to, what I'm doing here is not adding any value to you, right? But I'm just trying to highlight the takeaway from all the big grammar. Dapo likes speaking big grammar a lot. We're both mathematicians, but the difference is he likes speaking big grammar. So two things quickly from all his summary. Number one, that there was never a time in history, according to the data that he gave us now, that the North was feeding Nigeria. Please, my brother, take that, write it down somewhere, keep it in your right hand and hold it forever. Pass it to your children, and future generations. The second point is that there is no such, I don't know how to put this because I really didn't get your analysis again regarding that VAT. But Dapo rightly pointed out, almost all the advanced countries that you can point at charges VAT, right? And if you want to also look at it from the context of, the practical application of the VAT right now, the way it is in Nigeria, VAT is charged on goods consumed and this central income goes to the federal government, right? So part of the goods that is consumed, because the genesis of this VAT problem has to do with, started from the destruction of alcohol in the north. So it's just as simple as that. If alcohol sales, VAT is charged on alcohol sales in southern Nigeria, right, which contributes a substantial amount. At the same time, the same product that income is being earned from in southern Nigeria is being destroyed massively in the north under the law that operates in the north, that product is not permittable to be sold to be consumed. On the flip side, the North still shares from that income charged from the South. My brother, it doesn't make sense. I don't know where that economics is coming from. So, just like that rightly said, I want you to take that second point again as a takeaway from here. Now, one thing that I'm curious about in order to round up is because me, I've searched through my life history. I've not seen one single thing like this. And I repeat, that I benefited from Nigeria, that I can hold on to as, oh, Nigeria, my country, this is what Nigeria did for me that I'm very happy about. But I can tell you authoritatively that in somewhere in, in space where I live, I came into the country in December, right? And it was, coincident like Christmas period. So what happened is, for every new immigrant in that country, you get a Christmas hamper from the government. People in that country will know what I'm talking about. You get a Christmas hamper from the government. I don't know if it's the state government or if it's the federal government, but it's in recognition of the fact that you are not even a citizen. You are a permanent resident of that country. And it just shows how, government recognizes the fact that some citizens might not be able to afford for themselves during that period. And it's a period of merit, right? So they actually made provision for that period. My brother, I was touched. So I want you to think along that line. And just for my curiosity, and you have the right not to answer that. If there's anything that has made you feel the way I explained with this scenario now that Nigeria has done for you. Thank you.
All right. We're going to come back to you, Ahmed. Olofamojo, please go ahead, and after you, your papa.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll try as much as possible to be as brief as possible, because I wouldn't want to start repeating what others have said, and it's always scary for me to speak after with all those data. You don't want to tread that part, or else you find yourself in. Anyways, and so I just wanted to kind of respond to Ahmed for some of your submission. I took few notes, and I'll just try as much as possible to address some of the details you did put forward. You said that well, I think that where I would come in is the question that Otumba asked was for you to tell us exactly what you would say is working in Nigeria. But you, as usual, I mean, I'm not surprised that you didn't mention anything. I've heard people try to kind of present what is working in Nigeria, and then they just ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble, and give them 100 minutes, they'll just go around the circle. And I wasn't surprised when one of the things you think that is working in Nigeria is the fact that you still have a country you can call your own. So I just can't relate what is working in Nigeria. The fact that we have a country, if that's an exam, that's huge F9, typical F9. Because I mean, that's like asking what is 2 plus 2, and you are saying Itumo Yorubani as an answer to 2 plus 2. I think that's kind of, well, that's by the way. You did mention that there's a lot of that the North has a lot of potential. They've got gold, they've got silver, they've got diamond, they've got, I don't know all that you mentioned. So kini shiri ọmọ tó mọ̀wé, ọmọ tí ò mọ̀wé tó ní writing, mọ̀wé ní writing, so who cares? Ẹlẹ́wọ̀n tó ṣaago mọ́wọ́, ta ló fẹ́ fi ṣàkọsí inú ẹ̀wọ̀n? I don't understand. Who wants to eat potential? Nobody cares about potential. Every country has got potential. Even Finland, that has nothing than, I think, timber or something, they've got potential. So people brandishing potential. Everybody has potential. I have the potential to become America's president. Even though I don't have an American passport. Anybody can have the potential of potentially anything. Permit my French or my English. So, saying that not as potential, even Yorubas, we have potential. If we don't exploit it, it's useless. If you have potential and you don't exploit it, so what's the essence? Is the potential bringing anything to the table? Potential is not what you can hold. Potential becomes useful when you exploit. And I don't see how the potentials in Nigeria can be explored, even in the north, based on the kind of political, cultural, and economic structure that has been put in place to perpetually design that country to fail. Nigeria is on autopilot to fail. And I understand that most Nigerians, because of the emotional connection and the fact that that name is already in their DNA, permit me to use that word, DNA, they have this consciousness of wanting to defend failure and wanting to make failure look like àmúwá Ọlọ́run ni, ká ṣáà máa dúpẹ́, ká ṣáà ayé Nàìjíríà ò bá, I don't want to say ayé wa, ayé Nàìjíríà ò bá máa bàjẹ́ lọ, ká ṣáà máa dúpẹ́, a ṣáà ń jẹun, ìjà dúpẹ́ lọ́lọ́, a ṣáà rí gàrí mu. There's a way that the poverty in Nigeria has reconditioned the DNA of people to accept mediocrity and to accept that it is okay to be poor, it is okay to suffer. Especially for few of the Nigerian guys, because I don't count myself as a Nigerian anyway, that they work in a good place, maybe in a bank or with a multinational company. They always use people around them and themselves as a judgment factor to decide if Nigeria is working or not. They literally, and that's a natural nature of a typical Nigerian, they don't care about the kids on the street. It's just about them. And for most of us here on this platform, we can afford to feed ourselves, feed our family, and feed many, many more families in Nigeria without blinking, without having to check our bank. And I'm not bragging, and I'm not speaking for myself, without having to continually check our account balance to check if there's still money there. We will feed ourselves, our families here, feed many families in Nigeria naturally, natural process. But we are more concerned about that child on the street of Ogbomoso that I've never met before, that deserves a life, that deserves to go to school, that deserves a meal, that deserves uniform around his neck, that deserves to have a working hospital somewhere that they can walk into and get an injection and get paracetamol for free, that deserves to have a future. And if Nigeria is working, your president Buhari will not pack all his families and bring them abroad to treat them, and he himself will not run to other people's hospital for treatment. And that's even a shame for anybody that thinks Nigeria is working, because your number one man don't even trust in the system is leading, and then somebody is telling me Nigeria is working. Working for what? Working for who? And then you talked about, I might be wrong. You said maybe you got to the airport and somebody was giving you back VAT. They gave you a card to you bought something and then they are paying you back the VAT. And I don't understand. So because you got a card, you got a VAT return on what you purchased, suddenly Nigeria is working. Every other person go to hell, go perish. Because I just got a VAT back. Nigeria is working. Nigeria has got potential. I got my money back. It's not about every other person. It's not about the 10 million children, over 15 million children out of school. I just got my VAT back, guys. Nigeria is working, and Nigeria has got the potential to work. I think sometimes when we come up stage, to address people, we should always look at the bigger picture. For all of us here that we can afford 3 square meal, that we can afford to dip our hands in our pocket and give 100,000, 500,000, 1 million to people without bulging, we all could say Nigeria is working. Yes, we all could say that. But we're just looking at the bigger picture of a working space for the Yoruba people, where we can have a nation of our own, where our children can go to bed happy and wake up happy, where we know that nobody will come to our space to kill us, to rape our women, where we know that we're assured of a better tomorrow, where we know that we all have one single vision, one single hope of a tomorrow, and we're all working hand in hand to ensure that we'll get to that place that we desire to be, that we can compete with Committee of Nations in the world. That is the vision. That is why we're gathered here. So to think Nigeria is working is for that person to think again. Nigeria is a good example of a useless father that cannot cater for his own children, but goes around bragging and begging for meal, begging for money. And what will that father use that money for? To buy the next Gucci or the next Ankara, to prove that he's a father that can't cater for his children. My brother, I love you. You are a Yoruba man. Nigeria has never worked. Nigeria is not working. Nigeria will not work. Let me borrow the word of what's this guy's name? Farotimi. He said that if you multiply his brain, get all the best brain in Nigeria, multiply the brain by 100, and make all of them the presidents of Nigeria, Nigeria will still not work, because you cannot save ọbẹ̀ ẹ̀gúsí tó ti kan. Ká gbé kaná nígbà àgbà, ọbẹ̀ ẹ̀gúsí tó ti kan, ó ti kan náà nìyẹn. The only way out is to pour that ọbẹ̀ ẹ̀gúsí away into the dustbin and prepare a fresh soup. Thank you. God bless Yoruba Nation. God bless Oduduwa Nation. Oòduà gbé wa. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I hereby yield.
All right, thank you, Olofa Mojo. Your papa. Okay, does anyone else have anything to say before we go to Ahmed?
I mean, just a quick correction on
On a
what
lighter
Olufemi
mood,
just said.
tó bá lọ́bẹ̀ tó ti kọ́ ẹgbẹ́ wa mo máa
Yeah,
jẹ́ o.
no, it's
Ọbẹ̀ tó
just
ti
a
kọ́ mo máa
lighter
jẹ́ o.
one on what Olufemi just said. So Olufemi just said Nigeria is like a bad father that doesn't cater for his son or children. I think that is wrong. Nigeria is like a bad mother hen that kills her chicks and doesn't let them grow. Thank you.
I'll take that
Thank you
all
so
day, every day.
Thank you so much. I can also add to that to say Nigeria is like that father that Olofa Mojo said, that went ahead to buy, to borrow money, and he used that money to buy AK-47 for one of them to kill the rest of the children. Ahmed, my brother, please go ahead. 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I agree with your data. And again, an analysis of data shows that only the West was doing better over the same period. I'm not supporting the North, but it's a fact from the facts. You provide about 10 years data, only on 2 or 3, maximum 4 occasions were better than the North. So that's aside. Still back to the VAT has to do with consumption. Olofa, you said we are doing well. It doesn't have to be the fact that we are doing well. We're talking about consumption here, and I can relate it again to PE. I remember some years ago, it was a different party. Lagos was taking all the PE, even for people that are resident in Ogun. But why the law is that they should earn what the Ogun State should earn for those who resident in Ogun State. because they are the same party now, APC to APC, during Fashola and Amosun, enjoy that PE, even for those that work in Lagos. It's similar. It's similar to that when you talk about VAT. VAT should be managed by state, 100%. I'm in support. I'm also in support physical federalism. I'm in support for a better Nigeria, but I also want us to not just accuse the North anyhow. That's my point of view. And on this alcohol, I'm a Muslim. I will never consume alcohol, but the fact is, alcohol is also consumed in the North. Yes, maybe Kanu is you are accusing Kanu. When you make reference to Isba, you are making reference to Isba. The fact that the alcohol is coming to Kanu means there is a consumption Sabongeri. For those who have been there, in most of the hotels, you see like one story of so if they are not consuming there, it will not be there. That's my take. The fact of the matter is that if the consumption is happening in Kanu, then Kanu should get. If the consumption is happening in Lagos, Lagos should get it. And that's what we are saying. We are all saying the same thing here, maybe from a different angle. And that's why I make the reference of the South Africa not consume within there. You get a refund for the VAT. But it's one of it. What it does is that it promotes their goods, and they know that when they are leaving, they get the VAT back. Um, I believe we can all live together. I still Nigeria where everybody wins, but when push comes to balkanize, I think for me, on the long run, we all be good for it. The North will be the number one gainer because it will come back to the senses and you need to be productive. That's my own. So we are all for one Nigeria if you believe in it. And if you believe in it, be it. But whichever way, we will win only when we all come back. We all need to give in politics, in economic activities, productive economic activities, start doing something, stop complaining, but rather start doing and then turn it in good. Thank you all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fulani Cow. I know you wanted to say something.
Yeah,
Mr. Fulani Cow.
so again, I want to repeat to my brother Ahmed, still on that issue. The economics is just bad. You see, what we're talking about here is not the consumption. It's that singular act of destroying that same product that you share revenue from its sales proceed, right? That singular act whereby you destroy that same product by your law, you destroy that same product. Yes, they brought in alcohol to the place because they believe that alcohol sales generate income for the entire country. Do you get it, my brother? So we're not talking about the fact that they brought alcohol there. We're talking about the fact that they choose to destroy that same product. It's just like you now. If I'm your son, right? You give me money from a particular task that you do to earn that money. I'll now take that money from you and then go and destroy that same act that is generating that income, Mr. Ahmed. That is where the problem lies. So again, I'll say to you, like you said, whatever reasons you are celebrating Nigeria for, it still doesn't answer that fundamental question that is the problem of Nigeria today. And that is why I ask again, if you care to share, what exactly can you point to and say that this is what, as a citizen of Nigeria, this is what I've benefited? Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And even for us that don't believe in Nigeria anymore. Maybe if you're able to share like 10 things, we might even reconsider, saying that, okay, maybe there's truly, like Mr. Ahmed is saying, there's one or two things to benefit. Maybe we've even forgotten. All of us here saying there's nothing to celebrate. Maybe we've forgotten those things that would benefited from Nigeria. Maybe you could remind us, my brother. Thank you.
Can I just add a different dimension to it?
Please go ahead, sir.
Good talk. I PTR'd alcohol consumption in 2016. I PTR'd this particular data because I wanted us to discuss that alcohol is drank in Sabongeri and they also contribute to the alcohol consumption, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure at the end of this session, my very good friend who just stumbled on Yoruba Nation today, he would have learned a lot of things from us in terms of our ability to use data to have a national discourse. 208 billion was the revenue from alcohol in 2016. The Northwest, out of the 208 billion, 1% was consumed in the Northwest. So 2.6 billion was consumed in the Northwest. 19.6 billion was consumed in the Northeast. 30 billion was consumed in the North Central. In the Southeast, in the Southwest, 37 billion was consumed. In the Southeast, 44 billion was consumed. And in the South-South, 74.4 billion was consumed. So in other words, if you compare the smallest southern consumption of alcohol to the largest northern consumption of alcohol, there is a 7 billion difference between the southwest consumption of alcohol, 37 billion, than the north central consumption of alcohol, 30 billion. And if you compare the biggest alcohol consumption in the north, which is 30 billion, to the biggest alcohol consumption in the south, which is 74 billion, it's almost a times 2 plus, maybe almost a 240% difference. So this myth that alcohol is consumed in the north, it's absolutely correct, but it's also very important that we ask ourselves to what degree, to what quantity, to what value. Like I just explained to you now, out of 208 billion in alcohol consumption in the country, about 51 billion was consumed in the north, and the rest was consumed, about 157 billion was consumed in the south. So when you look at it in that regard, considering the fact that the north has more population, 120 million, to the south, 88 million, you have to ask yourself if it's fair for you to also say that the alcohol consumption equates the reason for equitable sharing of the revenue on VAT on alcohol. So what the data shows very clearly is that all the southern states consume significantly more alcohol or contribute more revenue in alcohol than all the northern states. And if you take a look at it, just the revenue from alcohol from the south alone is greater than the revenue from alcohol from the entire north. So I don't know how to, because I'm not a South Southerner, so I cannot take credit for the alcohol consumption. But what I would not like us to do is again to leave this Yoruba Nation platform with a different impression as to the actual consumption of alcohol in this country. The data is very clear and it is available. Just Google alcohol consumption in Nigeria by state or by region. Before you search your third, fourth page in your Safari, I'm sure you will find something to explain to you exactly how alcohol is consumed by the region. Let us not be deceived. Everybody's balance sheet is obvious. You can see it, you can touch it. I'll yield the mic. Thank you. Okay, I saw a message from Otumba. Okay, I'll reply. Thank you very much. So alcohol consumption data is just PTR my DP. You see it there. The data is readily available. You see per region and the exact amount that was consumed. I yield the mic. Thank you. I think Otumba is a bit engaged. Please, let's move on with the queue. If you like to speak, please just pump your mics and you have 5 minutes to contribute to the discourse. Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò ní o. Tẹ́ bá fẹ́ bá darapọ̀ fún ìgbà alákọ̀ọ́kọ́, if you are in this house for the first time, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ bá fọwọ́ bu aláwùwẹ̀ green tó wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ Yorùbá Nation. Kẹ́ lè tẹ̀lé wa, kẹ́ lè máa mọ ìgbà tá a bá ń ṣe àwọn important program wa, kẹ́ lè máa get notification. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ tẹ́ bá fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ pump mic yín ká lè fi yín sórí ìlà. Please, am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
All right, thank you very much. Please, if you'd like to speak, please pump your mic so you can contribute to the discourse. Wow, the house is quiet today. Okay, I can see Adedoyin. I can see Fulani. Welcome on stage, Lakunle, Leslie. There's a super giant on stage. I say Uncle D. Fumike, Olan, Olu, welcome on stage. If you like to speak, please pump your mic. If not, we'll just go with the two speakers now. So let's take ladies first. So we'll go with Adedoyin, then we'll go with Fulani Cow.
Thank you. I just want to ask Mr. Ahmed. I know you're a Yoruba man, and this is just to any Nigerian citizen out there that is one Nigerian. Like, how are you patriotic to a country that does not have the common amenities for a citizen? Like, even if a rich person gets in an accident in Nigeria, it's really the grace of God that you survive in that country. Even if you get to the hospital, it's the grace of God that they will have light to treat you. I mean, there's no security. Where I live now, I'm comfortable enough to go to the grocery store at 10 o'clock after I put my kids to sleep, because I know I'm not afraid of Fulani that will come and kidnap me or kill me, or armed robbers. I know that I can wake up and not be thinking I might not see the next day if I live in Igongo or something. How are we saying at least we still have a country? Like, what is there in the country? We are literally living by the grace of God. Like, it can happen to anybody. Anybody can get murdered tomorrow. Anybody can get macheted by Fulani people. Yes, love. It's just it baffles me. And what I always come to find out is the people that are saying one Nigeria, they have some kind of investment in Nigeria. I'm not pointing any fingers, but they have an interest in Nigeria staying together, because you cannot be patriotic to a country that has little children begging on. These are even Yoruba children begging for food. They had a birthday party. Somebody said this, and I couldn't help but cry. And when you finish eating, you put your plate on the floor, and you have our Yoruba children eating remains from the floor, sucking bone that people have already finished eating. How are we patriotic to that kind of country? I'm just, I know everyone doesn't have to sing the same gospel that we sing of the Yoruba nation, but we have nothing to gain in Nigeria. Absolutely nothing. I mean, that's one thing. And D, I have a question for you regarding the debt that we have. When we do have a Yoruba nation, who pays all this debt? Like, when we don't have a Nigeria anymore, this 200, what is the debt that we're in? I think you said 19 trillion. Where does that go? Like, is that divided by who? Like, isn't this the time for us to start telling countries or wherever we're living to stop lending to Nigeria? Because what's going to happen to that debt when the debt is left for our children?
bad debt.
We lost you a bit. We lost you a bit there, Adedoyin. Are you still there, Adedoyin?
Yeah, I think we lost
Yeah,
Adedoyin.
I wanted to answer before you did, because I know yours will be a bit more constructive than mine. But I don't know if she's there. So, yeah, maybe we should carry on. When she's back, I can probably try and
Yeah,
chip in a little bit.
it's actually two questions, one for Mr. Ahmed and one for D. Yeah, I think I will just go because my
Yeah,
my
yeah.
question is kind of related to ours as well. And then when she comes back, Mr. Ahmed and D can respond to her. So my question kind of go along our line as well, but I'll just be throwing mine to the entire house for anyone to. Maybe we should kind of share our experiences along what you've benefited from Nigeria or what um, awful moments of national experiences you've had to just to keep the conversation going, and we can really see the picture of what Nigeria represents to all of us. If that is permitted, I can start by sharing my own experience of national experience of Nigeria. Thank you.
Mr. Ahmad, do you want to Ahmed, do you want to answer the question or do you want to pass your time? Okay, I will just carry on. The first
I'll
question
pass.
is
I'll just pass.
okay, all right, no problem. The second question, you see, the problem of national debt is that to a large degree, it is both a I think he has left. Okay. It is both a blessing and a curse
But D,
in
I
the
think
sense that
Omobaba said you should give him time to go before you.
Yeah, I wanted
okay,
to
all
give
right,
it
let
a
him
shot.
go. Let him
Yeah,
go.
so I mean, my thoughts are this kind of conversations, would happen when you want to sit at the table and decide how to move forward, you know. And when that time comes, you sit down and you arrange how you are going to make the payment, And that's even the ones that you've probably kind of like agreed to borrowing in the first place. But that conversation is definitely going to have to happen. That's one. And two, right now, she did say something along that line. There's been a lot of push telling, foreign bodies not to borrow Nigeria money because this is how they are spending it. They're being reckless about it, and blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people are even saying that as we speak, just to discourage the federal government from getting a lot of money. But when the time comes, it's just going to be a matter of, people coming together, referendum or whatnot, stakeholders sitting down and saying, okay, how are we going to, break this down? Who is going to pay what? What are we going to do about this? There are a lot of financial experts. We're not the first country that is going to be balkanized. It's been done over and over and over again. So we have many of examples to learn from. So I think it's probably even one of the not so big things to really worry about. We have bigger problems than that. But that's my view. Over to you, D.
Thank you very much. And you pretty much have done such a good job that I probably would just have to add maybe one or two perspectives. So just like you said, national debt is going to be shared alongside national assets. So in every business, if those that run small businesses, big businesses, if you look at any balance sheet, you have your assets and your liabilities. The liabilities in Nigeria's case are the debts, and the assets are national assets. So therefore, when we are sharing our national assets, we also share our national debts to reflect the national assets in such a way that it's going to be amortized. And then there are some debts that will not be, I cannot take your debt for you when it becomes a regional situation. For instance, the Buhari administration borrowed $2 billion to finance a railway between Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, and Maradi. That's $2 billion. That from that about 83 billion
or 33 trillion naira that we are owing, they will take responsibility for that by themselves. So if you've taken a national debt, whether or not you borrowed something like $1.5 billion worth of project, and then you now, borrowed 2 billion, you understand, and you chop $500 million, and you now use 1.5 billion to do the infrastructure, knowing fully well that the Niger Delta will pay for it. The Niger Delta, let's say it's a Niger Delta finance minister who is negotiating with the we call not finance minister, will simply remind him that yes, we are owing 83, but you took 2 billion for your personal project, so that 2 billion will remove it from the 83 billion dollars that we are owing, and then that one will become your own. So that is how the debt will be shared. Everybody will talk about how the money was spent. This thing, the records are available in debt management office, and everybody will basically get a chunk or a larger chunk of what was invested in their region. Then the ones that cannot be reconciled, which is all this debt that was incurred to pay salaries of the lawmakers, to pay for the presidency or the executive, whatever, all those debts will now become the ones that will be shared against national assets. So somebody will now say, like a northerner will say, well, you have Lagos International Airport. It is the property of the federal government. And then the Lagos man will argue that we built the airport in the 1960s with Western region money before it was nationalized as a airport of the north or of the federal government. So then there will be arguments back and forth, and then there will be trades to say, okay, I concede that the Lagos airport is a mixture of both Lagos Western region investment and the federal government investment in the Lagos airport. So therefore, if it is valued at 2 billion, we'll rebase it, we'll remove 1 billion for Western region, and then we'll take 3 billion as the valuation of the federal government's value of the port, of the airport. And then to that decree, Lagos will now be responsible, or the Western region will be responsible for 3 billion out of the 83 billion in debt. And this is how it will be shared down to the last million. Everybody will sit at the table, the different coordinating ministers of the economy alongside their finance counterparts. And you can be rest assured that people know what you did for them. So people in the south and the southeast will come with their portfolio of the industrial projects that you purportedly did on their behalf in their region. So for those federal government or presidencies who think that there's no need to invest anything in the southeast, it simply means that by the time we are done sharing all the debt, the southeast might walk away with a very little or next to no debt. Do you understand? Because we're talking about regions that have been perpetually ignored by several governments. So everybody would take like, for example, there's no international airport in the southeast, so therefore there will be no time during the evaluation of airports that the southeast is going to collect its own equivalent in debt for airport that the government never built for it. So these are the kind of conversations that will have happened. Those that have gone to take billions of dollars
Those that
to
are
build.
building train to Niger.
Yes, then they will either tell Niger to say, look, Niger, I beg you, if you pay for your own, because now the South say they no go pay, Southeast say they no go pay, Southwest say they no go pay, and we not too old like that. So I beg, we don't already build them. You don't they use them, we they use them together. Just pay for your own part of it, $400 million. Just pay your own part, so that at least me, I'll pay my own part, which is maybe 1.5 million, and then together we can pay off the Italian people. And then the second part of your question is, do you know that even as at now, a lot of international borrowers are very skeptical about financing infrastructure projects in certain regions? So, for example, if I work in an hedge fund that wants to finance a rail line in Nigeria, if that rail line is going to be financed between, say, Lagos and Ogun State, or Lagos and Oyo State, or Lagos and Ekiti State, I would not mind financing that project. If that project was going to be financed in maybe the South, I would do my economics of the GDP of those states, and I would not mind financing it in those regions. But if you now come to me as the coordinating minister of the economy and you say you want to do a rail line between Katsina and Zamfara, then I'll be very careful to finance you, because I know that if this country breaks apart and those states are together, first of all, you might not even be able to pay me because you do not have the GDP or the economy to support such huge infrastructure projects. And secondly, historically, most of the payments that have been coming for these regions have been coming from other places. So therefore, most of the infrastructure financing that has been going on in the core north, it has been financed by the revenues from projects in the core south. So these are the complexities. And when it comes to borrowing people's money, they know, the Chinese know. That is why they have their own. Go and read about their Green Belt and Road Initiative project that does roads across West Africa as a Chinese policy. So don't you, those people that are borrowing Nigeria money, they are borrowing it because you can borrow in America. America will borrow money at 1.5%. Nigeria will borrow money at almost 6 to 7%. The Nigerian government will be celebrating that they've been able to secure Eurobond loan of $200 million or something. They'll go and the Minister of Finance will almost be popping champagne and giving press conference. And you'll be asking yourself that, do we think in this country? The advanced countries are securing foreign loans for 1.5%. The poor countries that don't even have much are securing loans for 6%. So these are the clashes of civilizations, the complex ironies, the paradox of many failures. It's almost like a business that is set up to fail. And the people in the business are still going out every day. They're not even concerned that the business is failing. They just believe that somehow shareholders will continue to bail them out at AGM. And then the shareholders are now saying, you know what, I think it's time for me to let's break this business apart. I'm not ready to put my money down anymore. Let everybody go and be attending to their own part of the business. So that's where we are. All those conversations for debt, it is not that it is not going to be hard. It will be hard, but it is very doable so long as we are willing to come to the table to have a conversation. There's nothing in this country that cannot be priced, including Third Mainland Bridge. Every national or federal government road or federal government asset can be priced, and then the arguments will now ensue. I did this road, I spent this number of billions. Oh no, you didn't. I did the road, I spent this number of billions. Then we'll bring out the document and then we'll take it on from there. So that's it. And yes, so and of course those international bodies, they are very skeptical about investing infrastructure projects into regions that cannot pay if the country is balkanized. So you will still see that there will still be many companies, foreign companies, that will be willing to borrow money for investment projects in the south, but they'll be very skeptical about borrowing for investment projects in the north, because at the end of the day, the south can always pay for its infrastructure projects, even if it will be struggling. But there are some states in the north that cannot even pay salaries. And I will close my submission by telling you that, do you know that while some states in the south generated 40 to 60 billion in VAT in 8 months, a certain state in the north generated just 565 million. Can you beat that? Are you the man? I forgot that I'm moderating now. So I will need help with moderation. Is Korede here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Please, would okay, Jibaba, you're also here. So I'm
Yeah,
going
I
to
came.
mod
I came.
Korede to help me take over the room. This is something that he really does well. Please, you forgive me. I know you wanted to make your submission. I'd like you to assist to mod. Jibaba, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm going to assist too. Just
Oh, okay, all right. Thank you very much. So now we have two co-moderators. I like to yield the mic when I'm done so that I don't cause wala on stage. So I'd like the next speaker to go ahead. I'm Korede and
Can I?
Jibaba.
Okay, thanks. Jibaba, do you want to go first,
no. I'm
or should
just
I go?
saying I'll help with moderating. I'm not really submitting. I'm going to help with moderating. That's what.
Okay, okay, all right, thank you. So I just want to chip in a kind of caveat. The analysis they gave us is very fantastic. That's how it should be, and that's what we must push for. However, how much of the liability we take up, or we are forced to take up, and how much of the assets we eventually take away is a function of the power we bring to the negotiation table when the time comes. A gentleman, I can't remember who it was, who mentioned earlier that you cannot win the election in Nigeria without the South. It is true, and it's not. It's also not true. It is true because it is you practically cannot. However, when it was time for the South and the North to negotiate, the South actually had to yield a bit to the wish of the North. sorry, to the wish of the North. So because the North actually has more bargaining power on the negotiation table. Similar thing happened in 1999. Yes, at that point, the North knew that they needed for it to go to the South, but they determined who they wanted to give it to in the South because they had some power on the negotiation table. So they said, okay, this dude, the one that we know would listen to us, the one they would not vote for, and we would make sure gets there is the one we're going to vote for because it's a person that would favor our interest. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, when the time comes for us to negotiate and say, okay, this is what you take away, this is what you don't take away, we would do that. But trust me, if we don't have so much power, we may end up taking 80% of the liability if we don't have the power, because it will take a lot of fight for us to get to that negotiation table. And if we don't develop capacity both to fight to get to the negotiation table and to sustain ourselves on the negotiation table, we may end up just taking away whatever we want. Just like in 1999, I remember I was listening to Pa Adebanya was saying that at the point of when they were getting democracy, they were shouting for this restructuring we're now shouting for today. That's what they actually bargained for. That's what they actually said they wanted. So at the point the military was giving power away, some people came to them, and even amongst their own comrades, and say, Baba, let us take this thing. At least we have something. We'll take it from there. Now Nigeria is in a worse case than it was before we went into democracy. So my point is, this fight, whatever we're going to, it's going to be very tough. And we must understand how tough it's going to be and prepare ourselves for it. I would always say you fight from your area of strength. In every way possible, we prepare ourselves for it. However, fighting from our area of strength. There are things we have that they will never have. There are advantages on our side that they would never have. So I just wanted to chip that in, that yes, we may get there and say this is what we want, but if we don't have the power at that point, we may end up just like even the whites did to us, most African countries. They will say, go. It will appear to you like you're winning, but in the long run, they have kind of taken your future, which is what these idiot terrorist Fulani oligarchs did to us. They wanted democracy, we'll give them the democracy, but like Jim mentioned, they make sure that all of those policies that will favor them have been put into our laws during the military era. And as we're going into democracy, some people sat in secret rooms, cooked up this constitution and passed it over to us. So they put everything that would favor them and then pass it over to us. So we must know that we have a lot of fight ahead of us. We must develop. The bottom line of all of my English is, we must develop capacity, strong capacity, both to fight the fight of sovereignty and to make sure that at the point of exiting, we're exiting winning. Yes, we could have a win-win, but worst case, let us win and they lose. Worst case, let us win and they lose. We cannot afford to lose. If we lose, they will run us over. They are only waiting for us. These people they don't forgive. Anybody who know Fulani people, their nature, they do not forgive. They don't forgive. So because we're gonna get out of the contraption, they feel slighted. They feel they are not getting what belongs to them naturally. They have not been able to put their Quran in the Atlantic Ocean, and then their ego and everything, they will come back to hurt us. They will come back to fight us. And if we don't develop enough capacity to come out strong to get something, to win at the negotiation table, we would end up going back to where we came from. Thank you for the opportunity. Over to you, Jibaba. Jibaba.
Chichi Baba
Yeah,
Yeah.
Baraga,
Okay.
the next contributors can go. I'm driving, so I'm helping with moderation. So I'm not really ready to contribute yet, but helping with moderation. When time comes, I will have my own. If anybody wants to go next, I think they should just. I don't know if there's any line. Just flash your mic.
Yeah, Papa, go ahead.
Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Um, I was just doing a simple sampling with my friends who are still on Nigeria today, and just to ask them what exactly is there to celebrate in Nigeria, just like the question in the headline there. What is it that we are celebrating today? Like, what is it after 61 years? I remember when we were 50 years, 11 years ago, I was saying that we should have a development plan for Nigeria. Then I was still a firm believer in one Nigeria, and I look back today that 11 years after, Nigeria has even gone worse than what it used to be uh, when we were 50 years old, and there's no evidence, or there is nothing to prove that if we go for another 11 years, it's going to get better. There is nothing to prove that. So the point is that what exactly are Nigerians celebrating today? Because I see all of them on Facebook or on Twitter, on many of them on this clubhouse say we are celebrating, and the only answers I was getting, at least let's thank God that we are celebrating. We are still united after 61 years. And I was like, did you just talk about unity? What unity did you see in this country right now? Is Nigeria united the way you see it right now? And somebody will say, oh, I think we should thank God that this government is investing in infrastructure. And I started telling him, do you say infrastructure? Like, somebody went to borrow 4 billion, and out of the 4 billion, you want to build a naval base in Kano. You want to build a naval base in a desert where there is no water, no body of water. So what would the Navy be doing? The Navy men be doing in that place? You want to use 2 billion to also build rail to your cousins, and a country this age, we don't even have plan to say, okay, in 3 years, want to achieve. Is an average Nigerian today, many of them not even chop to sleep. And you still come here to say we should celebrate unity. What unity? Where many states in the north right now have shut down their telecom system. That is more like a warlike situation when you start shutting down telecommunication in an area. So I think the people who still believe firmly in the unity of Nigeria I think they are just playing God. One was saying in a room where I was that he doesn't believe that Emefiele is doing badly. I was like, seriously? I was looking for D. Doesn't believe Emefiele is doing badly. It doesn't supposed to be, but we are progressing. I feel like slapping that person. But what I just want to say is that if we don't know where we are going, at least we should be able to retrace where we are coming from. And for at this point, I was thinking that today should be a day for this president, this leader, this looters in Nigeria to say Nigerians have been clamoring for a new constitution and to get each to review, not just to review, to write a new constitution that is that carries the yearnings of each of these ethnic nations. And today will be today they will sign that constitution into law. That new constitution that will be built from the scratch, that will be written from the scratch, not this one that they are just passing. Like what Dr. Muhi said, that constitution just need to be thrown out, and we have to rewrite it. Láti bẹ̀rẹ̀. It doesn't need any review, because I don't know now. We have clocked 21 years today. Trust me, we'll clock 62 years. Sorry, 62 years next year. I will still be here. Over 200 million people will still be living on, depending on less than 5,000 megawatt of electricity. I would say we want to industrialize. 200 million people will still be depending on that. No good road, no hospital. The president will still be going to London for treatment. The one that is coming after him, according to them, is still in a UK hospital receiving treatment. Is this how we will continue until all of us now will just get old and go? They will leave it for our children, and they keep battling with this same thing. So it's just only a madman that will keep doing the same thing, every time, and expect a different result. And is it not high time we all, the leaders, sit down and look at this situation, that this thing is not working? 11 years ago, what was the exchange rate of dollar to naira? What is it now? 11 years ago, what was the, I wanted to buy Dudu Osun soap that I bought 70 naira for 1 bar. How many in 2015? They sent to me. It's now 300 per bar, 300 under 7 years. Look at that price increment. One egg, where they say 20 naira, 15 naira, 10 naira, 60 naira, 80 naira. One egg. Now, I was arguing with this guy that called himself an accountant. He's my friend. I said, so how do you measure a country that is working, or a government that is working? He was talking about infrastructure. And I said my own. I'm not an economist. Maybe D can tell me how you can, the key performance indicator to measure a government that is working. And I said, if you like, build all this infrastructure in the world, in Nigeria, if the common man on the street still cannot afford to eat comfortably 3 times a day, then the government is not working. Said they are building. How many people in the village will ever enter that train? What they are concerned about is their day-to-day living. How do they feed themselves? How do they feed their family? When they go to the market, do they have the money, the purchasing power to buy those things in the market? That is how they will measure a government that is working. So all this mundane infrastructure that you went to get loan, yet you are not doing anything. Look at the Lagos Ibadan Expressway. This government will clock 7 years soon, and Lagos Ibadan Expressway has not been delivered up till now. Less than 400-kilometer stretch of road. And you say government is working, you are doing infrastructure. Security is not there. Nothing is there. Nothing we can even say, yes, under this government, in 60 years, this country has done this. No Nigerian, except those that are making money from this government or from this country, that will say it is this way we have Nigeria is the way every country should be. Is that we are not even doing anything towards development. We are not even making any step. And each time we try to make step, there will always be a full animal that will come and drag us another 50 years backward. Just the way Buhari is doing. Instead of building on the current thing that people have done, you want to drag us backward. Just the way he's bringing 1954 open grazing law to 2021. We just cannot continue this way. There must be a solution. It's not rocket science to find solution. For those of us on this side, we already have the solution. We want total balkanization of Nigeria. Now, the question I used to ask those Fulani guys that I know is that what does your leader want? What does you people want? Tell us. What do you want in the project Nigeria? You want this status quo? Then we don't want it because this status quo does not favor us. It doesn't favor anybody in the South. We'll be here. Nigeria will clock 62. We'll still be talking about this. No action plan towards development. No, nothing. Nobody is doing anything. People are just looking for what to eat, who to cheat, who to make money from, steal from government. Everybody telling you they want to contest today. They're not going there to say they want to change the trajectory of things. They're just going there to steal, kill from the people, and steal from them. And people will come here and be speaking English. We should talk about unity. We should thank God that we are still united. Is there even is that unity even real? Even on this clubhouse, we have seen it. Is there anything that call unity in the project Nigeria? You are just forcing unity over people. People that you are different. We are different people. Just forcing that unity, just the way the British forced it. We are never united. And now you say we should appreciate the diversity of the country. And what is the context of your understanding of the diversity? Like this said, you said people always say our population is our strength. No, it's even our weakness. Because there are a lot of small countries that are doing better than us. So what is now the essence of that population? They come here, give us the roadmap you want to achieve your nation. You people should give us your own roadmap towards the Nigeria greatness. Give us. Where's the economic plan? Where other countries are talking about technological driven economy. We are still backward, 100 years backward. I will say we are developing without anything to even any KPI to say, oh, this is how we are measuring our development. Go to NBS website. You see the different statistics, unemployment rate, everything there. You see the unemployment rate very, very high. Poverty rate very high. Nothing is working. And some people will come to the news and say Nigeria has done what? I'm just tired. That dollar in CBN is blaming Aboki FS for this thing. If Aboki FS can fix dollar, he should be able to fix it to $1 to $1. I'm just tired of this nonsense that people say on this clubhouse and on Facebook. I'm just tired. Thank God for the unity. Which unity? Is the unity there? Has it been there? Can it be there ever? When we ought to appreciate that diversity, when the British bring us together, that the diversity should be a strength. It's now a very strong weakness to our development. The countries that put us together, they have seen that diversity. That is why they left us with 3 regions. And in our wisdom, we created a 4th region in 1963. Why don't you continue on that path? Why do you have to break people up and call them state? Put many Yorubas in Kogi.
tó ẹ ṣeun fún bí ẹ ṣe dúró láti gbọ́ ètò láti ìgbà yìí wá life ni wọ́n wà tí ẹ bá fẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wọn mi fẹ́ lọ sùn ní torí ẹ̀ mo ṣe pa ètò tẹ bá fẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ wọn ẹ download Clubhouse tẹ bá download Clubhouse kẹ wá Yorùbá Nation tẹ bá ti tẹ Yorùbá Nation ẹ rí yàrá yẹn kẹ join kẹ di member ẹ lè máa gba ìlú ní lọ́gọ̀ ẹnu bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa download Clubhouse látòrí Google tẹ bá lọ sórí Google ẹ download ẹ tẹ Clubhouse ẹ download ẹ fi details yín sí ẹ fi photo yín sí ẹ lè má fi photo yín sí ẹ lè fi any photo sí pọ̀ ẹ upload photo then ẹ wá Yorùbá Nation room ìṣẹ̀ṣe làgbà room àwọn nǹkan bí tó jọmọ́ bí Yorùbá àbí nǹkan tí ẹ bá ní interest lórí you can press anything they have different kind of rooms on Clubhouse láti gbọ́ conversation wọn èmi fẹ́ lọ sùn nìyẹn ẹ ṣeun tí ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín ó tún di ìjọ mi tí wọ́n bá tún ṣe ètò tó bá tún mú ọgbọ́n wá bí eléyìí àbí ọjọ́ tí a bá tún máa ní ètò ẹ ṣeun ká pàdé lọ́la lórí ètò ìṣẹ̀ṣe lágbà ó dàbọ̀ ó dàárọ̀.